News. One debate picking up right where it left off before the July 4th recess. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
A health care bill aimed at repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act remains the focus for Republican leaders.
We won't solve this problem by simply throwing more money at it. Band-Aids just won't work here.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell could reveal a revised health care bill later this week.
When using bipartisanship as a threat is your only argument, it's time to move on.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer again saying Democrats will work with Republicans to help stabilize the insurance market. Lisa.
Well, Jared, the White House says it's confident to repeal and replace bill will pass before August. Donald Trump Jr. says he's happy to work with the Senate Intelligence Committee and pass on what he knows after revealing more information about a meeting last summer with a Russian lawyer who claimed to have information potentially damaging to the Hillary Clinton campaign.
I've been on several campaigns and people call offering information.
White House spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Don Jr. took a very short meeting from which there was absolutely no follow-up.
She says the president only learned of that meeting in the last couple of days. Trump Jr. says the lawyer really wanted to talk about adoption rules and that the information offered was meaningless. Stocks turning lower at the closing bell. The Dow down 4 points. Best Buy sliding nearly 6% on reports that Amazon working on its own version of Geek Squad. Amazon's Prime Day sale begins tonight, now in its third year.
Before shoppers click to buy, some 76% of them will visit other major online stores like Walmart and Target for comparison shopping, according to research firm Bazaar Voice.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. And while the Dow finishes slightly lower, the S&P and the NASDAQ are higher. Fox News, fair and balanced.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is in full swing. Get 0% financing for 72 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. It's summer's hottest deal on vehicles like Ford Fusion, Escape, Mustang, and Explorer. Offer ends July 31st. Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand, and save big across a full lineup of Ford vehicles. Get 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Hurry into the summer sales event going on now only at your Ford dealer. Best-selling based on 2016 sales. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $1,389 per month for $1,000 financed regardless of down payment. Trade Assist cash requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle or lease terminated 30 days prior to or 90 days after delivery. Not available on Mustang Shelby, GT350, GT350R. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by July 31st, 2017.
Families of two murder victims are suing federal immigration officials.
Federal immigration officials were negligent when they allowed Pablo Serrano Vitorino, a Mexican national, to stay in the country illegally despite being deported after a felony crime in 2003. That in a federal lawsuit in Kansas City by family members of two of five people who Serrano Vitorino allegedly killed last year in a shooting spree. The suit says Serrano Vitorino had several brushes with law enforcement after sneaking back into the country, in which ICE was notified but failed to detain him. ICE isn't commenting on pending litigation. Serrano Vitorino is currently jailed and awaiting trial. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
A former Ohio State engineering student from India pleads guilty to terror charges. Federal prosecutors say he also tried to have a federal judge kidnapped and murdered while awaiting trial. He's now facing more than 27 years in prison. The parents of a terminally ill baby keep fighting for a different treatment.
The case of Charlie Gard has attracted international attention after President Trump offered assistance. Charlie's parents back in court today, continuing a bid to block doctors from ending his life support. Medics say further treatment would cause suffering. But his parents want to take him to the US for experimental therapy. Here's his mother, Connie Yates.
If the medication works, he could potentially be a normal boy again.
In court today, Ms. Yates weeping and Charlie's father shouting, accusing a lawyer for doctors of lying. There's another hearing set for Thursday. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Former Wimbledon champ Rafael Nadal knocked out in the fourth round. 16th seed Gilles Muller of Luxembourg advancing, outlasting Nadal with a fifth set victory that took more than 4.5 hours. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Here's your ESPN Radio 3-day forecast from the National Weather Service, brought to you by Chief Bauer. Trust the heating and cooling experts at Chief Bauer Service Experts to help keep you comfortable all year long. That's 866-EXPERTS, or visit online at chiefbauer.com. Tonight getting down to 73, 50% chance of thunderstorms overnight, and a little bit early afternoon tomorrow with a high of 87, low of 73, and then getting super hot on Wednesday, 96 and humid. Heat index warnings will probably be issued for that one with a low of 74 overnight on Wednesday. Right now it is 86, very windy and humid. ESPN Radio.
It is the Tay and J Show, ESPN Radio 93.5. Jeremy Warner, Mike Carpenter filling in for Lon Tay, who is on dad assignment today. It's good to be back in the old US of A.
Welcome back to, what would you call it? Your homeland?
Yes, after spending 3 days in America Junior.
Now, how was America Junior?
I crossed the border, and I was like, nothing has changed. But besides going through, the border, there was no wall yet. It's just that you got to go through a little bit of an inspection there. And we get through, and I see a Best Buy, I see a Home Depot. Nothing changes all that much. Some good people in Canada, some good eats. Wife and I, this is our first weekend trip away from the baby, so we struggled a bit, but it was necessary.
Sure.
And it was nice.
If you had to guesstimate every X amount of minutes that you thought, oh man, I miss him. Was that something that was kind of the back of your mind the whole time?
Well, this was a big present for me, for my wife. It was my birthday present, I think Christmas present, anniversary present. So we went and saw Ed Sheeran on Friday night. And he was awesome.
Okay.
I mean, he's the biggest pop star in the world. He's a ginger singer-songwriter who only plays by himself, right?
So wait, now in the live format,
he's just by himself with a loop pedal. Which, Carp, you know what a loop pedal is.
Yeah, so it's him and an acoustic guitar for the most part, right?
Yes.
And he'll play maybe the opening rhythm part, loop that, it'll be playing behind him, and he'll build on that with more
maybe on
a
riff, or he'll hit on his guitar for the percussion part of it.
Okay.
So it sounds a little bit different than the album, but he's phenomenal. I mean, it's just him on stage in front of, we were at the Air Canada Center where the Maple Leafs and Raptors play, and it's just him. And there are some songs that he sang. The big one, Photograph, which was on the last album, that got Tiff and I teary-eyed a little bit away from the guy.
Well, he's got an amazing voice.
No,
so.
but yeah, it was really nice to be away. He was unbelievable. And then we went to the Blue Jays game the next day.
How was that stadium?
It's okay.
The old Sky Dome?
Yeah, I mean, my wife was really impressed by the retractable roof because the roof was open that day. It was a nice sunny day. It was actually hot where we were sitting for a little bit, but I think it was the first retractable roof. I think it was the Sky Dome.
I think that'd be right. Maybe Safeco was the second one.
Yeah, and they have the CN Towers right within our view, like right outside the stadium.
Is it connected?
Yes.
Okay, because
it is connected. It's not like yeah, it is. Basically,
so you could be in the CN Tower, look below you, and there's the field.
Yeah, as long as it's open.
Okay,
right. As long as the roof's open. When we left in the morning on Sunday, it wasn't open. But yeah, it was really cool. Got to meet some cool people at one of the bars we were at. It was one kid who'd just gotten out of college and had a job for the last couple of years, and his sister who's still in college. We got to ask them all about Canada. I asked about, okay, how big is hockey? And he said about 80% of us play as kids.
So that might be I'm trying to think what the American equivalent would be. It's a little more scattered.
I mean, when we were young, probably baseball. I don't know if that continues. Like every kid played baseball when I was little, for the most part. But I asked him, who's bigger, the Raptors or the Blue Jays?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
They love the Raptors.
They love their Raptors because they've been good.
Yeah.
And they'll continue to be good for the next couple of years. They won't be championship level good. But no, I mean, basketball is huge. When I was there, that's when Canada upset, I don't know if it's an upset anymore, but they beat the U.S. in the U19 championships in basketball.
Now, they've had a few exports. Wiggins
is a big one. Obviously, Steve Nash.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of NBA players who are from Canada, and their national team's getting really good. So it was nice to get to know them a little bit. They call people from the East Coast Newfies.
Newfies.
That's
short for
Newfoundland, I believe.
Okay.
But I guess they're a little different than everybody else. Quebec is really uptight.
What about Montreal?
Well, that's
French.
Quebec.
Oh, wait, yeah. Okay.
So
my geography.
Yeah, people in Quebec are, they have the more French kind of style, and more like French. They think they're a little better than everybody else.
Naturally.
Ontario is kind of this centralized area. It felt like I was in Chicago. Like there's a Midwestern kind of feel where they want to make everybody happy. They're very polite.
Yeah.
And then I think when you get into the Saskatchewan, Manitoba era, Edmonton, that kind of area.
More territorial?
That's more the Minnesota. Oh, don't you know?
Okay.
Like,
so Toronto does not have that heavy accent we associate with.
There's a little bit, but I didn't get as much of it. And Toronto is it's an international city.
Right.
So they're people from all different cultures in Toronto. I mean, every race, every origin. I mean, there was everybody there. So it felt like you were just in America.
Yeah.
Basically, is what it felt like.
So overall, great trip.
Good trip.
First trip to Canada.
I was happy we went there. I was happy we got away. But when we got back and saw that little guy, absence makes the heart grow fonder, man.
Absolutely. So you would have been gone, 72 hours away from him?
Yeah.
And he stayed with
the grandparents who.
See, that would be a great weekend for them.
He had a blast.
Yeah.
He got to go everywhere
Sure.
with him. So, no, it was a good trip. And I was happy I could go. I was happy you filled in for me on Friday, so I appreciate that.
We had a fun show. Did you hear what we talked about on the show Friday?
I know you had Jeff Alexander on the show.
We did. He was a great interview because he
I
of
always
course,
appreciate a good G-off.
Yes,
right?
G-off was great. And he was super excited because he grew up in Lincoln. His dad is a very famous coach up there. And his brother and he both played for his dad up in Lincoln.
Now, did he play with Brian?
No,
Cook?
he
after
just before.
Okay, before.
And Lon would have just missed him too as far as covering Lincoln basketball because Lon was able to cover Brian Cook back in the day. So we had him on, but earlier in the show somehow Doc Kink
yes,
came into the conversation.
I saw that thing on Twitter.
Yeah,
that came
and it blew up. Because
that was my first pet. And the street I lived on.
Which is the old adult film star name game.
Yes.
And so we had fun with that on the text line, and we had a bunch of people.
This was your minor league baseball name? Is that what it was? What was this going on Twitter?
Well, that would have... No, I mean, it was everyone just submitting their adult film star names.
Oh, because there was a thing on Twitter, like your minor league baseball
name.
Yeah,
okay. So I saw that too, but I don't really know how Doc Kank came into the conversation, but it was the first segment of the show.
Carp show.
Yeah, well, exactly. There's usually this continuing thread that we say something ridiculous in the first segment, and then we just kind of visit back throughout. And I asked Lon, I was like, should we ask Jeff Alexander what his would be? But I thought... Yeah, it's his first interview as the assistant to Brad Underwood.
That would have set the right tone for the Tay and J Show.
Exactly. But no, Jeff was great, and it was really cool to get a guy that is from Lincoln, that grew up a big-time Illinois fan. He's been everywhere.
Yeah.
He coached in Idaho, Evansville for the last 5 years, so closer to home at least. But he's excited to get back here. And I think, you kind of can gather whether you talk to him or whether you talk to players as they're doing their summer workouts. You could probably even talk to a guy like Adam Fletcher and get this sort of culture of confidence that's building up around over at Ubben right now.
There's a culture of confidence and a culture of accountability, I think. John Gross talked a lot about toughness and togetherness.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken.
We got to change something there. He talked a lot about culture and toughness and togetherness. He didn't do the things as a head coach to set that tone after the initial change of Bruce Weber, right? Once you get from Bruce Weber, it's nice, right? You got a new coach, and those players are going to buy into that. So Underwood's going to have that immediately with these players. They weren't winning under Gross. They'll buy into a coach who has won before. But there's an accountability factor. There's a coach being hard on players. I talked with Kendrick Nunn's dad last week, and he was saying John Gross was soft as a coach, that he didn't hold those players maybe accountable, that he was more their friend. I don't think you're going to get that from Brad Underwood.
No, and I think you saw that too, because you could look at how John Gross addressed behavioral issues, and he would give them, okay, you got the 5-game suspension or whatever it may be. Ravonte Rice and Aaron Cosby in the middle of that season where they eventually missed the NCAA tournament but went on a run without those guys. And in that moment, I felt like, wow, okay, so they established some accountability. They said, this is how we're going to run things here. And even in the absence of those two guys, that's when they made their run. I thought that might have been the turning point, or not even a turning point so much as I'm a young coach, but I can assert my authority when need be.
Yeah.
But when you continue to have these off-the-court things, which, again, I would fully admit that no matter who the coach is, no matter what the program is, you only get so much control over that. But eventually when it becomes a pattern,
when there's
you wonder...
3 arrests.
And they are not fearing what would happen if they do these things that would get them into trouble.
There is a part of the culture that a coach, he didn't do those things. And I think, whether it's Lovie Smith with Hojo Watkins and all those kids, they're going to be kids that make dumb decisions that aren't necessarily reflective. But when you had Ravonte Rice and Aaron Cosby, and then you had Jalen Coleman-Lands getting suspended for the start of games for not showing up to practice, and that happened multiple times. And then you had the 3 arrests, and all of that stuff. It just shows that there objectively was an issue there, an accountability issue that I think Underwood, I think he's shown in the past, and just from his personality so far, it seems like he's going to hold those kids a little bit more accountable. And he's going to talk with the media tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So
excellent.
We should be able to hear a little bit more from Brad Underwood tomorrow. We got a busy show for you today as well. Kendall Gill, CSN Chicago, is going to join us at 3:30. Former Illini great, had his 28th annual Kendall Gill golf outing today. That means he's done that since what? He was 21?
I think that's right. I remember going maybe 93 or 94. I was young, and I was too young to remember him playing in Illinois, but he was obviously not an NBA superstar, but a really, really good NBA player.
Cunningham Children's Home was always benefited.
I still have the autograph. It's the U of I golf course scorecard, and I still got a picture with Kendall Gill, and he's still doing that. So 28 years means that he would have started that 90, I'm guessing. And but if you look at a picture, he was with Craig Choate over at Channel 3. I don't think he looks any different.
No, he might be in better shape than when he was starting the NBA.
And so now he is joining the Big 3.
Yeah, which is Ice Cube's new off-season league with a bunch of former NBA players.
Fun to watch. And the ratings haven't been great.
Nice off-season programming.
It is.
Why not?
Exactly. And it can't be that expensive to run that league. So they're having fun. I think they're bouncing from arena to arena.
I think Kendall will be the most in shape of all those guys. We should ask him.
He looks crazy good.
Who gives you a run for your money?
So he probably very few, because there are some guys that have a little bit of a punch.
You see guys like Mike Sweetney that are in this thing and say, they're struggling to get up and down the court.
And even Kwame Brown is like tall guy with a pot belly.
They should be. They had to be in shape all their careers. Wouldn't you let go a little bit?
I would think that's only fair. So we got Kendall, at 3:30?
Yeah, we got Kendall at 3:30. We'll ask him about Coach Underwood and the Illini program. I know he sat down with Coach Underwood and the NBA offseason. We'll ask him about that. Bulls obviously going into a big rebuild. We'll talk a lot of baseball at the All-Star break. It starts tonight with the Home Run Derby that I think we're excited about.
Yeah.
Stanton and Sanchez, Mustaka, Sano, Judge, Bohr, Bellinger, Blackman.
Though we all wish Logan Morrison was in it.
That's right. Yeah, kick him out of there. Yeah. Stanton, Sano, Judge, Bellinger. I think that's going to get people excited.
It's exciting. I'm going to watch it. It was not the end of the first half that I would have liked. Have not won a series since June 9th, the Yankees.
Poor Yankees.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's funny how within the course of a month you recalibrate how you're going to view the season.
Yeah.
And kind of like out of self-defense, it's back to where I was last year. Let's see the kids.
Yeah.
Let's see the kids.
You're a young team.
Well,
anyway.
Exactly, and that's what it was going to be anyways. But in the 4 o'clock hour, talking this baseball, so Mike Claiborne's going to come on 4:05, and of course we get to talk Luke Voigt.
Paul DeYoung? That's serious? How real are these guys? The Cardinals, for all their struggles, are sitting there tied with the Cubs at 43 and 45, 5.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll talk Cubs, who are a bigger story, with Mark Grody, Cubs pre and post game at 4:30. So a lot of baseball in the 4 o'clock hour. I think they got to make an aggressive move here, Carp. I was talking with Austin, our producer, today before the show, and I think they might need to trade somebody on their major league roster just to help them, one, get a pitcher. They need multiple pitchers, but two, help sort out this lineup. There's too much change, I think, in this lineup. Some of these young kids got to get consistent playing time, but they're still obviously a big player in this. I think the Brewers are for real as a threat, and the Cubs, they haven't shown us anything that their rotation is even better than the Brewers. So I think they got real issues, but I think Theo Epstein's going to have to be aggressive because you never know how long your window's open, and this division is still there for the taking despite how bad they've been.
That Brewers lineup can mash. They're very good, and then the pitching is good enough, especially in that division. So I know we talked about this last week. Who would you buy to win that division? And I'm not just saying this fresh off the heels of a 10-0 first inning that we saw yesterday in Wrigley Field.
I got off the plane. It was 12-1 in the third.
Well, and it's not good when you get a tweet from David Ross that sends Twitter into a tizzy on July 9th that he might be coming back and he might be the savior. And that's an exaggeration. But there was some genuine excitement when David Ross tweeted this out, maybe thinking that's the kind of, the shot in the arm that we need. This team, I think we might be seeing youth, which I thought was its greatest strength, long-term, may be a temporary setback for this team because I did not think they were going to get stagnant. I didn't think you were going to have to worry about any of that with the culture that had been established at that team. But, sometimes it's just a natural inclination that, okay, this is how good we are. Let's just ride it out, what we did last year. I don't know if it's as simple as that or not.
And that's why you can never multiply the season before, right? Even though you expect these guys to just get better, sometimes they get worse. And sometimes you lose guys who were important both on the field and off the field. And losing Dexter Fowler, that's a tough guy to replace. Even if he hasn't been great for the Cardinals, that's been a consistency. That was a consistency in the Cubs lineup the last couple of years. Losing a guy, Chapman, you got Wade Davis back. But the rotation, you haven't been healthy with some of those guys. And then could you count on them having career years yet again?
No.
Because Arrieta had career years the last couple of years, and then Hendricks had a career year last year. Lackey was great. Now he's falling off a cliff, it seems like.
Well, and the Lester thing is particularly concerning.
Jason Hamill.
Well, yeah.
We don't talk enough about Jason Hamill's loss.
But he hasn't exactly been lighting the world on fire with the Royals. But still, Lester, I find that to maybe be the most troubling because, listen, you got the World Series ring. I think he will be fine, but the question is, what do we qualify as fine for John Lester as he enters
him to be an ace?
Well,
he need to be a top 12 pitcher.
For the money he's getting, he needs to at least be the number 2 because the Cubs, when in terms of budget, they're going to be fine. They're going to be able to go out and get another stud pitcher when the time calls for it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of them in this free agent class coming up. So what does that mean? Like you said, do you have to get rid of some of these major league players that are already up, that have already proven themselves to get a really good pitcher? I think it's worth a shot because if you've accrued all this depth with position players, then okay, you should be able to withstand losing a couple guys in that lineup if you're going to get in return a really good starter.
You wonder if it's a Schwarber. You wonder if it's a Baez, even an Almora. I don't think those guys should be untouchable. I feel like they're not going to trade Schwarber. I know there's some rumors that say otherwise.
There's 2 untouchable guys in the lineup, and that's it.
Yeah, Brian Rizzo. I like Russell. I wouldn't trade him. I still think he's going to be really good. And even if he's struggled with the bat, he's been such a really good player. If you look at wins above replacement, his defense is great, more consistent than Baez. I probably wouldn't trade him. I'm also happy as a White Sox fan that Chris Sale is going to start his second straight All-Star game.
Yeah, kind of quietly.
Sale Scherzer as your starters. I like that this is going to be yet again tomorrow night. It's just an exhibition, right? It doesn't count for anything. It's an exhibition tomorrow, and you get to see Scherzer against Sale.
Now, does it still count for home field advantage?
No.
They're done with
done with that. Finally.
So how is that going to be decided? Best record? Yes. Or are they going to alternate again?
As it should be.
So wait, I feel like I missed this story.
I think it's best record, isn't it? I believe so.
So they did get, wow. Well, then I can enjoy it that much more.
Yes.
Because I always had that in the back of my mind. How stupid is this that we're actually basing home field advantage on it?
Yeah, so we got a busy show for you today. We'll give out the propers here in a second. I did want to throw out this news. We can talk about it a little bit more, Carp, later this hour. Dwayne Lawson, I've heard this for a while, finally got somebody on the record. Talked with Garden City Community College coach Jeff Sims today, and he told me that Dwayne probably won't be at Illinois this fall. I could probably use a word stronger than probably. He won't be at Illinois this fall. I've been hearing that for a while. So he told me that today. The first guy finally on the record would tell me that. And this hurts short term for Illinois. Dwayne Lawson, 6'6", 230, freak athletically, really good arm, but academics is holding him up. He's still got coursework he needs to complete. He has 3 years of eligibility to play too, but this means he'll redshirt in JUCO because he has no more years of eligibility at JUCO because he's already played 2 years, one at Virginia Tech, one last year at Garden City. But this hurts short-term depth because if Crouch gets hurt, you're going back to Jeff George Jr. If not Jeff George Jr., it's Cam Thomas. If not Cam Thomas, the freshman who's not ready to play, it's Trenard Davis, a former defensive back wide receiver, or it's walk-ons. So short-term it hurts. Long-term this could actually help because Dwayne Lawson will redshirt. I don't think he would have been ready to play. He hasn't dived into a playbook since high school, and high school is not a big playbook when you're that good. So I think long-term this could be good for him if he takes care of his coursework. That remains a big question if he'll ever get here. But from what I've been told, and finally Jeff Sims told me today, it's most likely if he does arrive at Illinois, it'll be this next spring.
And long story short, Chase Crouch needs to stay healthy.
Yes.
Because, and this is going to be a tough year regardless.
Yes.
But at the very least, if you can have some consistency in that position, you can have the occasional fun game in October against an opponent that's better than you. The only chance of this team being competitive consistently is Chase Crouch and that mobility. And I know you've written about this a little bit. I mean, the players love him.
Yes.
And there is an intangible quality when he's out on the field
that Wes Lunt did not give. I liked Wes Lunt as a quarterback. I thought he was intelligent. I thought he worked harder than anybody. He did not lift those up around him. He did not make those around him better on the field. Chase Crouch does. That players believe in him, they rally around him, and he's got that dynamic ability that it's tougher to defend a Chase Crouch than it is a Wes Lunt because of his legs. You can't do 11 on 10. It's 11 on 11, and the guy's got the ball. So Chase Crouch, he's huge for this season. I don't think this is going to be a good season regardless, but it could be scary if Chase Crouch goes down.
Yeah, and he's got good skill players. So.
Yeah, he's got much improved skill players when you add Ricky Smalling, Carmani Green, Mike Dudek, Dre Brown to the mix. And Malik Turner, Kendrick Foster, and Reggie Corbin were pretty good last year. All right, we got a busy show coming up this hour. Kendall Gill, CSN Chicago, and now he's joining the Big Three basketball league. Also, Mike Claiborne and Mark Grody in the 4 o'clock hour to talk some baseball. If you want to weigh in, 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. Our interns today, Austin Berkland, Maddie Bunton, and Jacob Diaz. You can watch us on YouTube. Just search Tay and J Show. Download the WSJK app, or you can get our podcast at ESPNCU.com or find us on iTunes. That's all powered by GTPS Insurance. We have an update coming up next, and then Kendall Gill. It's the Tay and J Show.
Full of twists and turns. You can't see the unknown, but you can certainly prepare for it. Pekin Life Insurance Company offers a variety of term and whole life insurance policies that are designed to meet the needs of individuals and their families. Options include transitional life, universal life, preferred whole life, family term life, and many others. Visit PekinInsurance.com or ask your local Pekin Insurance agent about an affordable, beyond the expected life insurance policy that's right for you.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
DP Dough is the original Calzone company, and they cater all types and sizes of events, from office orders to private
I'm Chris Drummond, owner of Drummond Carpet and Upholstery Cleaning. Since 2006, we've provided the best professional carpet cleaning in the Champaign-Urbana area. At Drummond Carpet and Upholstery Cleaning, we use the Rotovac carpet restoration system to assure the best carpet and upholstery cleaning service. For just $99, we offer carpet cleaning for 3 rooms or 4 rooms at $29.95 per room. Google Drummond Carpet Cleaning and see what our customers have been saying, or call for a free estimate at 217-722-3663. Drummond Carpet and Upholstery Cleaning. If we didn't clean it, it isn't clean.
There's never been a better time. A better time to stop smoking and switch to vaping. To save money you're spending on cigarettes. To experience new flavors, new selection, and new savings. There's never been a better time to stop in and see the difference at Vapors E-Cigs, LLC. Vapors E-Cigs has the most knowledgeable and caring staff, inviting atmosphere, along with the best prices on juice and hardware. They also have an amazing reward system to help you earn savings along the way, including discounts on juices, coils, and even 70% off a kit. Now's definitely the time to stop by Vapors E-Cigs LLC.
Hey Cardinals fans, we have another great weekend of promotions coming up for you. The weekend of July 28th, 29th, and 30th when the Cardinals host the Diamondbacks. Friday night, it's the replica 1967 World Series Championship Trophy. Saturday, the adult replica 1919 jersey, courtesy of Fabic Cat. Also that evening is a fireworks night, thanks to Fabic Cat. Sunday, the Kids Pocket T-shirt presented by the Pasta House Company. Tickets available at cardinals.com/promotions.
Coach Mike Ditka is not just talking sports. What'll he say next? Hear him here Monday and Friday mornings from 7:30 to 8 with Brother Johnny and me, Stevie J, on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Hello, I'm Austin Berkland with the 3:30 Sports Center update presented by State Farm agent John Kaywood. Life insurance is one of those subjects that make people want to change the subject rather than admit they probably don't have enough. Find out how the benefits of life insurance can live on for your family. Call State Farm agent John Kaywood in Champaign at 217-367-1105. Our very own Jeremy Warner is reporting that transfer quarterback Dwayne Lawson won't make it to the U of I campus this fall. Here's the quote obtained from IlliniInquirer.com. by Lawson's Garden City Community College coach Jeff Sims. He probably won't be at Illinois this fall, but he is working on it. In other quarterback recruiting news, 3-star Tennessee quarterback Woodrow Trey Lowe will make his college decision tomorrow afternoon. The 6'3" quarterback is considering Houston, Memphis, West Virginia, and Illinois. The home run derby is tonight, and here are the matchups in the tournament-style event. Stanton versus Sanchez, Moustakis versus Sano, Judge versus Bohr, and Bellinger versus Blackman. AL manager Brad Mills and NL manager Joe Madden named their starting pitcher and lineups. For the AL, it's Chris Sale as the pitcher, and here's the lineup. Altuve, Ramirez, Judge, Springer, Correa, Smoke, Dickerson, and Perez, and Mookie Betts. Joe Madden named Max Scherzer his starting pitcher, and the lineup is as follows. Blackman, Stanton, Harper, Posey, Murphy, Arenado, Zimmerman, Ozuna, and Cozart. The Chicago Bulls have announced that due to family reasons, Chris Dunn has left Summer League and will not return. That definitely hurts the Bulls trying to win back-to-back Summer League championships.
We do have what? Or they won it last year, or they won it 2 years ago?
They won it last year in an overtime game. And then the price for Mayweather-McGregor pay-per-view is out, $89.95 for standard def and $99.95 for HD.
I'll pass. Hey, later on, be paying attention because today we're doing the DP Dough Office Hookup. It's your chance to win a free lunch, catered lunch with calzone, salad, fresh baked cookies for up to 25 people. All you got to do later on when we ask for it is text your name, how many people you work with, and we'll ask you a fun question. You just respond, and you'll be entered to win a potential free catered lunch from DP Dough. You can visit them online at dpdough.com. If you want to weigh in, 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. Carp, Mayweather, and McGregor, $99.95.
Well, if I had a friend that were really into boxing and had a party to watch it, I guess I'd watch it. But I got burned. It was the night of the Derby 2 years ago, and it was Pacquiao Mayweather.
Yeah. I went to a bar in Chicago with my brother.
Ugh.
And we had to pay like a minimum. So, yeah, we ended up paying for it, obviously.
Yeah.
But that was an actual boxing match that we'd been waiting for too long.
But even that, an actual boxing match, Mayweather is not conducive to really exciting boxing matches. You know who I think would be really good to ask about this? Someone that knows a little bit more about boxing than you or I.
Yeah.
Would be Kendall.
Yeah, he's going to join us here in a couple minutes. Kendall Gill, CSN Chicago, former Illini. He's had his golf outing today. He's back in professional basketball with the Big Three, playing for Team Power, which includes Corey Maggette. Carp, if you can look that up, Team Power.
Team Power,
and
okay.
Big Three. Clyde Drexler is the coach for Team Power. So Kendall, I know he went through a tryout for Big Three, and he didn't get drafted, even though he's in one of the best shape.
Impeccable shape.
Of his career, even though he's 49 years old. And, you know, he's really impressive when you see some of these other guys on the teams. It's like he was way better as an NBA player than some of them.
So we have Corey Maggette as your captain.
Yeah.
We have Catino Mobley as a co-captain.
Catino Mobley and Steve Francis. Remember that duo?
Oh, yeah. Clyde Drexler, of course, is your coach. And then the other players on this team include Jerome Williams, Moochie Norris. Do you remember Moochie?
He was a Rocket, too, wasn't he?
And Deshaun Stevenson.
Former Jazz player, straight from high school to the pros.
Yeah, so that's a pretty solid squad right there.
You know who I saw, I forgot what team it was on, who I'd love to see, is Muhammad Abdul-Rauf.
The one game I watched, he was playing, and it was him versus Mike Bibby. And it was actually a really good matchup. Those two guys are in great shape. Kwame Brown was on the court at the same time, and so was Rashard Lewis. Just looking at some other names in this league. Kenyon Martin is the captain of Trilogy.
Is DeMar Johnson on that team?
No, that team, though, has Al Harrington, Rashad McCants, James White, and Deion Glover.
Well, Illinois fans are rooting against that team.
Yes, and the reserve is
Rashad
Gennaro
McCants.
Pargo.
Great. Off the bench player, former bench mobber for the Bulls.
And the coach, Rick Mahorn.
Nice.
So they might play a little bit dirty if the coach trickles down at all. And then you also have Tri-State, and that's Jermaine O'Neal, Bonzi Wells, Xavier Silas, Lee Nalian, Mike James, and Lou Amundsen. I don't know if you remember that. And Dr. J is the coach for that one. But the power team, pretty solid roster, made all the better by adding Kendall Gill.
Well, let's head to the Jupiter's at the Crossing phone line. Don't forget Monday is Family Night at Jupiter's at the Crossing. Families who dine in get one large one-topping pizza, breadsticks, soft drinks, and 25 game tokens for just $25. He's Kendall Gill, now part of the Big Three Basketball League. But Kendall, I just want to congratulate you. 28th annual Kendall Gill golf outing for the Cunningham Children's Home. We were just doing the math on this. Have you been doing this since college?
No, I did. I joined the Cunningham Children's Home about my second year in the NBA, so about 2 years out of college.
Yeah, I mean, why has this always meant so much for you, Kendall, to come back down here every year? And what's this event been like to see this grow?
Well, because Champaign-Urbana is a place where I actually went from a boy and into a young adult, and the community gave me so much. Back when I was here at the University of Illinois, and I wanted to, since I was so fortunate, with a huge NBA contract, I decided to give some of it back, and part of that was giving back to the Cunningham Children's Home. Another reason why I do it is because I was fortunate enough to have both my mom and dad in my life, when I was growing up, and I still do. Actually, I'm still lucky to have my mom and dad around, and a lot of the kids at the Cunningham Children's Home, they don't have what I had. So in that regard, I felt like I had to give something back as well.
Kendall, it's been an awesome golf outing that you've been running. I actually met you when I would have been 5 or 6 years old, and I'm sure there's hundreds of other area kids that could say the same thing, and it was certainly memorable. But you are back in professional basketball in the Big Three League, and we were joking, even when they announced this league, that, well, why not Kendall? Because you're in such good shape. But when did you get back in the loop with the Big Three, and who was the first contact? How did it all go down?
Well, I was actually working out at the boxing gym last Friday, and Corey Maggette called me, and I noticed the number. It was from California, but I didn't pay any attention to it. I said I got to finish my workout. So, an hour later, I looked at the phone, and it was Corey texted me, and he asked me would I be a part of Power, and I was like, absolutely. I actually felt like I should have been drafted when I was at the Combine, and then the draft back in I believe that was April, because I went to the Combine, I did very well. So I was surprised that I wasn't drafted, but hey, better late than never, and I'm just glad that I was added to the team.
Yeah, Kendall, what does this league mean for guys like you who've been out of the league for a little bit?
Well, it means that you get to compete and you get to become a professional basketball player again, and you get to travel. The game is only 1 day a week, so at this age you can really put 100% into that game, because if it was 2-3 games a week, then it'd be a little different. But now, because it's 1 game a week and you're going half court, I think it really makes the competition level better. I think the intensity level is better, and because guys are not in the greatest condition, they're able to get through the game.
The voice, Kendall Gill, works for CSN Chicago, now part of the Big Three League as well, and a former Illini great. We were talking, is there a player that's in better shape than you, Kendall? Is there a player you're looking to really compete against in this league?
No, not really. Because it all depends on when I get there. I know that my competitive juices will start going when I get there, but right now, I'm just looking to acclimate myself to Team Power and see what type of systems they're running, because believe it or not, there are plays that you run in 3-on-3 basketball, so I have to acclimate myself to those guys. They have a 3-week jump on me, so I have to catch up with them, and then once I get there and see the other players and play against them, then I'll be able to better assess who's the best competition or not.
Kendall, are you kind of surprised it took this long to think up a league like this for former NBA players, where you got the half-court set up, kind of like a Gus Macker tournament? It just seems like a really great fit for summer entertainment for people that want some basketball.
Yeah, it's a great concept by Ice Cube. And I actually talked to him in Las Vegas, and I asked him why did he decide to do it, and he said, well, because a lot of players that I grew up watching and admiring, once they retire, you never heard from them again, but they could still play basketball. And then he wanted to fill that void where the NBA championship ended, and then you had like a dead spot in the summer for everything. And listen, I love baseball. I grew up playing baseball, but baseball really doesn't get exciting until the pennant,
yeah.
And the World Series. So that's why Ice Cube said that he saw a niche there, and I think from the response in Brooklyn they had 15,000, in Charlotte they had 13,000. Same thing last night in Tulsa, and it's been catching on like wildfire, and the quality of basketball is very good, and you get a chance to see players that you grew up watching. How's the vertical compare now to about 15 years ago, Kendall? Well, that's the only thing with me. I mean, I still have all my quickness, I still have all my speed and my reflexes. The only thing is my vertical isn't the same. I mean, I can still dunk and get up there, but I have to think about it now. Yeah. Before, I didn't have to think about it at all. I just did it. Now I have to go, okay, 1, 2, jump. That's where I am now. I see Brian Cook is in this league with the Killer Threes, Chauncey Billups' team, Steven Jackson, Larry Hughes. But if you could do in a Illini team, and it's you and 2 other guys, who are your 2 other picks? Nick Anderson, Kitty Battle. Didn't take much time for there. Yeah, Nick Anderson, Kenny Battle. We beat everybody if I have those 2. You think Kenny can still do it? Well, probably not now, because Kenny's had a couple of hip surgeries. But I'm talking about if Kenny were healthy and still in our age, yeah, he can still do it. Kenny Battle was, to me, one of the greatest athletes I've ever played with. Nonstop, and he was actually the heart and soul of the Flying Illini.
Kendall, you had a long NBA career, but I'm wondering, because of the generation of players that you were in, some of these coaches, like a Dr. J, George Gervin, NBA legends, Hall of Famers, do you, even at this age, still get occasionally starstruck by certain former NBA players that you run into? Well, no, I don't get starstruck anymore. The only time I got starstruck is the first time I met Muhammad Ali. Yeah. The first time that I played against Magic Johnson. The first time that I interviewed Julius Erving as a commentator, I interviewed him when I was working for NBA TV at the Orlando Summer League. And when I saw my wife the first time, I'm going to get some brownie points. That's a great answer. That's good use. There we go. Brownie points are awarded. Good use of the radio show there. Kendall, I wanted to ask you 2 more quick ones before we let you go, and we always appreciate your time here on the Tay and J Show. You got time to spend. You got to spend some time with Coach Underwood, right? What do you make of him, and what do you think of the direction of this program? Well, I actually trained over at the practice facility this morning. I ran into him, got a chance to talk to him a little bit. But, I like his style of play, the fast-paced style of play where he wants to shoot the basketball within 7 seconds of the shot clock running down. I like the way he wants to get up and down, plus play defense. I think it's going to be an entertaining style of basketball. And listen, I'm very good friends with Coach John Gross, but 4 years not making the NCAA tournament, you have to change some things, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to do it. The other thing I like about Coach Underwood is that he has the connection to probably the best AAU program in Chicago, that being the Mac Urban Fire. Now, when you have a relationship with them, then you can open up that pipeline that we once had in Chicago. That way, the Anthony Davises, the Derrick Roses, the Jahlil Okafors, the Shires, they don't get out of state. We won't let that happen where we have the Kansases, the Kentuckys, and all those guys come in and poach our talent. We can't let that happen, that's the most important thing, I believe, in this hire. Kendall, this is a very open-ended question, but what do you make of this NBA offseason, which has been absolutely nuts with all these stars changing teams, but what is the most interesting part of this offseason so far for you? Well, the most interesting part, I believe, is 2 moves. I can't believe that Chris Paul will leave. He was eligible to sign for a $200 million extension, but he decided to go away to Houston to team up with James Harden. And guess what? If I'm going to make a move like that and I'm going to leave that type of money on the table, I'm going to go to a team that has a legitimate chance to beat the Golden State Warriors. Yeah. The Houston Rockets don't have a legitimate chance to beat the Golden State Warriors. So in that respect, I have to go for the $200 million if I'm not going to beat the Golden State Warriors. He should have gone to Cleveland if he was going to make that move, because that's the only team legitimately that has the chance to do that. And I don't think he had the opportunity to go to Cleveland because Kyrie Irving is there. Yeah. The other move that I was surprised by is that Oklahoma City giving up 2 quality young players for Paul George, who's just going to be a rental.
that guy's going to L.A., after this year. And he's already stated his desire to play for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Kendall Gill, CSN Chicago, now part of the Big Three. Always great with this Cunningham Children's Home golf outing. Kendall, we always appreciate your time here, and we appreciate you giving back to the community.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, good stuff as always. From Kendall Gill, he didn't take long to answer that question about which two other players would join him.
No, and in their prime, absolutely. It's kind of fun to go through these Big Three rosters.
I mean, who would you do now, though? Like, that's kind of what I was going for.
We're talking modern-day former NBA players that are probably still in good enough shape to do it.
Just former Illini that you'd want on that team.
I think D would be fine in a situation like that.
I think D would be a guy. And would you add Cookie?
Yeah, sure.
Just because you got a guy who can spread it out. I mean, he's got the arc game, doesn't he? At this point, the old man game where he shoots threes and can provide a little bit of defensive presence around the rim.
How about we get a good shooter, like a Corey Bradford?
Yeah. Well, he just stopped playing.
I know. So this is great. Now he doesn't have to play a full season in South America. He can come back here, play the Big Three in the summer.
All right. So you could have. Now I want to put together the era teams.
Okay.
You could have Raj. D.
You see, you need to be careful with this,
James.
Jeremy, because there was a blog post about this about a month ago, and it got a lot of people into hot water.
Oh, because Eddie Johnson.
Yeah,
that's right.
So if we start early,
nobody's gonna pick against Kenny, Nick, and Kendall.
That's obvious.
But Nick and Kenny, I'm saying right now, they aren't in the shape that some of these other younger guys are.
No.
Like if you had Corey, Brian Cook, and give me one more player from that era.
Corey, Brian Cook. I'm trying to think which guys are. Yeah, I don't know how good of shape Frank's still in.
I know, but I think he could do well enough.
I think he would be energized by something like this.
Or D, James, and Roger. Now Roger's busy making a lot of money at Vanderbilt, so I don't think he's going to do this.
I think James is a good choice. He still plays overseas, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so James, and then how about this? Trent Meacham, I think, would actually still be.
Yes.
He's still killing it overseas. And then maybe a Brian Randall, too, because he's still playing.
Yeah, I think he's about done, but Brian's had a great career in Israel. It's a fun conversation.
Now, I'm looking at these rosters, though. This is great. All right, so you got, let's see, Fox Sports ranked these rosters, and the Power are actually number 3 with Corey Maggette, Coutinho Mobley, now Kendall Gill joining them. Number 1 that they rank is the Killer Threes with Chauncey Billups, Steven Jackson, Larry Hughes, Brian Cook, Reggie Evans.
That roster's loaded. I mean, that top 3 you just gave of Larry Hughes, Chauncey Billups, and who was the other one?
Chauncey Billups and Steven Jackson.
I mean, that 3 made a lot of money
in
the NBA, and all are still in pretty good shape.
The funniest one is what they rank 8th out of 8 teams.
Okay.
The Ball Hogs, Captain Brian Scalabrine, co-captain Josh Childress, and the other 3 guys are Derek Byers, Rasul Butler, and Dominique McGuire.
Rasul Butler.
Rick Barry is the coach, with Desmond Farmer as your reserve.
We're all fans of the Ball Hogs, right? I mean, Scalabrine is your star player.
They're
White
the Washington Generals of the Big Three.
I like that, though. I'm going to have to... Is this on Root Sports? Is that what this is on? Is it FS1? Like what?
It is on FS1.
Okay,
and it's
so
usually
it's not like the Ocho or something.
No. It is FS1 is playing it. I saw the initial ratings. It was under 1 million, so it was something like 700,000, which is not a lot for a professional sportsman.
But what are you getting on FS1 anyway?
Well, exactly. I mean, what are they getting for their morning show, Undisputed? Probably less than that.
Way less.
I hope that this can go for a few years and try to get some legs under it. It's got good investors behind it, so why not? It's good entertainment.
Before we get to a break, doesn't make you feel good that only 80,000 people tune in to watch Skip Bayless.
Yeah, it is kind of karmic, right?
It just feels good. He's making enough money. It's not like he's failing. He's got a big contract.
He's laughing all the way to the bank. But you know what? I think it does speak to, we reached a certain point in sports media where that seemed like that was the paradigm. But I think a lot of us, more than just thinking with our heart,
still doing it, man.
They're still doing it, but I think there's even a shelf life for that. And they have big decisions to make when it comes to rights coming up for Monday Night Football. They don't have the money anymore.
Yeah. If you want to weigh 359-2255, that's 217-359-2255. We've had all this movement in the NBA, Carp, but one stat surprised me. That's coming up next on the Tay and J Show.
The Urbana Park District presents Neighborhood Nights all summer long through August 9th. This Wednesday, July 12th, we'll be out at Ambucks Park. Listen to the music of Craig Russo Latin Jazz Project from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Join us for free popcorn and lemonade, fun activities. You can meet Urbana Park District officials. And we want to thank our sponsors, SJ Broadcasting, Champaign Moms, First Federal, the Urbana Parks Foundation, and CUMTD. For details, you can visit our website at urbanaparks.org.
The same people you trust after a fire or water disaster will also keep your house clean year-round. That's because the specialists at ServPro of Champaign-Urbana and South Champaign County are trained in every category of cleaning, from mold remediation to the cleaning of carpets, upholstery, air ducts, and crawl spaces. They're here to help protect every square foot of your most valuable possessions. ServPro of Champaign-Urbana and South Champaign County, or visit them at servproofchampaignUrbana.com. That's the bright green cleanup team at ServPro of Champaign-Urbana and South Champaign County. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
You know you need to do it, and you know you should do it at least twice a year. You owe it to yourself. I'm talking about a checkup at West Main Dental in Urbana. When was the last time you visited the dentist? If you can't remember, or you're in need of a new dentistry team, West Main Dental is where you should go. Our team at West Main Dental is waiting to see you. Come in and be catered by a professional staff that includes Dr. Janet Bardell, a University of Illinois and Southern Illinois University graduate. West Main Dental offers the highest level of dental care in a warm and comforting environment. From a simple quick checkup to providing you with an at-home teeth whitening kit or orthodontic services, trust the professionals at West Main Dental. Visit West Main Dental in downtown Urbana on Main Street, online at westmaindental.com, or call 607-1292. Trust me, you won't be able to stop smiling with a set of healthy, sparkling white teeth thanks to the work of West Main Dental. West Main Dental, online at westmaindental.com, or call 607-1292 to schedule an appointment today.
Hey, it's me, your old AC. We need to talk, man. I am out of hair. Trust me, it's not going to get much better. I need to be replaced. Call the experts and get a new air conditioner that will save up to 50% on energy bills. Go ahead, do it. I'll be right here. Whew.
At Chief Bauer Service Experts, save up to $3,100 on a new home comfort system. Call 866-EXPERTS or visit chiefbauer.com. For expert service guaranteed.
Call 866-EXPERTS.
From buyers and sellers inspections before the sale, protect your future with AA Marshall Home Inspection Services. We also provide radon testing with results back in 48 hours. From Champaign to Savoy and Gifford to Gibson City, protect your future with AA Marshall Home Inspection Services. Get more details and schedule your inspection today at aamarshall.net.
When you're heading home, Tay and J are on your way talking sports. Weekday afternoons 3 to 6 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Old school Decadence.
That's a deep cut.
It is the Tay and J Show. He's the lead singer of Decadence. Are you guys on hiatus, I heard?
Yeah, it's tough to line up a gig, and life is happening for some other guys. So
family coming around.
Well, I mean, it's just I don't know when we're going to play again. We did finally have a jam on Saturday, and it felt so good to play. And we got new songs, but we have no gigs lined up, and I don't know when we will.
I mean, real life gets in the way sometimes, right?
No, I was about to say it sucks. It doesn't.
So when do we get the solo Mike Carpenter project?
Well, I don't know. Might have to be, right?
Just you and a loop pedal. It's like Sheeran, man.
You see, but the thing is, like Paul McCartney, his early albums, what do? He'd go in there, lay down the drum track, lay down the bass track.
Dave Grohl.
I can do all that.
That's how Foo Fighters started.
The thing is, I'm nowhere near as good a drummer anymore, and I never was as good as the one we have now. So it was nice to play. We need to line up a gig, but it's tough.
I saw this from ESPN Stats and Info. There has not been a single NBA head coaching change this offseason. I didn't even realize that. Right? I mean, usually there's several. The last offseason that features 0 head coaching changes was 1975.
Wow.
So for all
there was like
the
18
movement,
teams.
right, there has been no head coaching change. It's like teams are like, well, we're not going to fire him because it's the Warriors and Cavs anyway.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be that disappointed in your coach, though Bulls fans could definitely be disappointed in their coach.
For fun, I went to basketballreference.com, which is, pretty good. It's no baseball reference, but no website is baseball reference, but it's close. And that is Tracy McGrady's stats.
Yeah, we were talking during the break about Jacob Diaz, our intern, threw this at us. If you could have one player that you could put in the big three, who would it be? I went with Kobe. Just because, Kobe is one of the greatest players of all time, and I still think he'd try to kill people on the court.
Oh, sure.
Right? And then you went with?
I went with Steve Nash. I think that'd be kind of fun.
I think he could still play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But T-Mac, that name came up because we mentioned Vince Carter.
Yeah, because Vince Carter's still in the NBA. He's outlasted all of these guys, right? And, the thing is, like, when he was on the Raptors, it was him and T-Mac. It was a fun up-and-coming team. And then T-Mac left, and Carter was still good. The greatest dunk contest I've ever seen. But then he just kind of lost a step, like that. Yeah. Kendall's talking about that athleticism, that vertical, just kind of goes away a little bit. And he wasn't a superstar, but he's prolonged his career 10 years longer than I thought he would as a good role player.
So T-Mac, they have win shares,
which
is kind of like WAR, I guess you could say, right?
Is this all time where he ranks?
Well, I was not able to pull that up, unfortunately, but
I wonder where that is.
So Michael Jordan, for instance, the most win shares he ever had in a year is 21.
Yeah,
which is astronomical. Right. That's absolutely a huge number for T-Mac. 16.1, which is still like NBA MVP level kind of stuff. So in the middle of his career, I mean, he was.
Would you have taken at the prime T-Mac or James Harden?
Oh, that's tough.
Different NBAs too, right? You kind of got to factor that into it. But T-Mac was, I think, a scoring champ one year, like Harden. He was one of the best players in the NBA, but he never was on a great team because if Yao could have stayed healthy, but Yao just could never do that. It just never felt like it was an actual championship contender.
Right.
And Houston, and I agree with Kendall. I don't think Houston's going to win a championship.
No, they aren't.
It's Chris Paul and James Harden. That's going to be fun. And if they can get Melo, that's going to be fun. That could be a fun Western Conference final. They're not going to win a championship.
Sadly, the only thing that's going to make the West interesting is an injury.
But I feel like T-Mac and Harden are similar.
Yeah.
Right? Just kind of similar level players all the time. Both Hall of Famers. T-Mac made the Hall of Fame. I think Harden's going to be a Hall of Famer.
So then the question is, will Vince Carter at the end of the day?
I don't think so. I just don't think he was
hell of a career, though.
Elite for long enough.
Yeah.
Was he ever a top 10 player in the league? I doubt it.
Maybe one
of the most
year.
exciting players in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just don't think he was one of the elite players in the league for several years.
See, trying to look here at some of his stats. He's played 1,347 games in the NBA.
Man.
And he hasn't been in the playoffs. He's had runs with Dallas and
he
the
won
Nets.
The championship in what? 2010 with the
2010. Mavs? Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's true, though, because you mentioned how even back with the Nets, he seemed old. And he was 30.
When they made back-to-back championships, right?
Where they made back-to-back and got smoked by the Lakers, or Lakers once, Spurs another.
Kerry Kittles.
Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles, Vince Carter.
Oh, no, it was Philadelphia.
Was that kid from Utah, the white guy from Utah, was he on the Nets at that point? Van Horn?
Van Horn? Was he at that point? I think he was. There's a bunch of randos on that team.
Just like now.
Jason Kidd's the kind of guy that we kind of lose how great he was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know the East was worse than it is now, but still, that was pretty
there's
impressive.
Keith Van Horn. He was there.
Yeah.
The East is basically as bad now as it was then.
A lot of baseball next hour. Mike Claiborne next. Mark Grody at 4:30. Talking baseball.
Hey, what are we doing for your birthday party this summer? Well, I was hoping to have a cookout like last summer. What? Don't you remember all those mosquito bites we got last year?
Good news, girls. Not only is Prairie View taking care of everyone's dandelions, now I'm going to take care of all the mosquitoes, too.
Yay!
Enjoy a bug-free summer. For all your mosquito control needs, call Lindy at Prairie View Landscaping and Turf Management at 355-9422. That's 355-9422 for mosquito control from Prairie View Landscaping.
Going on 5 years, Rock's Place in St. Joseph has become the neighborhood sports bar and grill for a lot of folks in the area. Rock's Place is known for their delicious burgers, and they also have great daily food and drink specials. Plus, Rock's has plenty of TVs, so you can keep tabs on the Cubs and Cardinals all summer long. And while you're there, press your luck on one of Melody Music's video gaming machines. For delicious food, cold drinks, and good company, make it Rock's Place, 101 North Main Street in St. Joseph. Find them on Facebook, ROCHS in St. Joseph.
Law enforcement official of the month this month is Pete Melankovic, and he's relatively new in the U of I police force. What has been your favorite aspect of your work?
The camaraderie. That's something I missed right away out of the Marine Corps. I got out, and for a year I was like, I'm going to find a nice, easy job, nice apple pie life, just enjoy the family time. And then something was missing. And after that year, I started getting antsy again. When my daughter brought that up, I was like, all right, this is what I'm missing in my life. Being able to work with those officers, the way we come together and attack things with teamwork. Just the men and women on that department, being part of that brotherhood and sisterhood.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And you graduated here.
Graduated from here.
In what?
I graduated in sociology.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You have to be able to read people.
Yeah.
So now you can use that.
Yep.
Well, Pete, I'm so glad you came out. Congratulations. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor to be here.
Brought to you by SK Exteriors. Their website, callsktoday.com.
Join the Champaign Parks Foundation on Friday, July 21st as we turn the Virginia Theater into a cabaret to benefit parks, programs, and services in our community. Admission is $60 per person and includes drinks, hors d'oeuvres, and a live performance by local jazz singer Katie Flynn. Reserve your spot now by emailing Laura Audeberry at laura.audeberry@champaignparks.com by July 14th. For more information, call 819-3839.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
And Lisa Brady. Band-Aids won't work. That from the Senate Republican leader as Congress resumes its health care debate. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
By the end of the week, Republican leaders could unveil a revised health care proposal and set up a vote on it by next week.
The Senate Republican Conference will continue working to help these families because we believe that they deserve better than Obamacare.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell must still win over several Republicans opposed to a plan first offered last month.
The original version, 10 folks opposing, it's not going to pass.
Louisiana Republican Bill Cassidy says repealing the Affordable Care Act will eventually happen. No more than 2 Republicans can vote against the bill for it to pass without any support from Democrats. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Celebrations in Iraq after the prime minister declared total victory over ISIS in Mosul, ending a 3-year occupation of Iraq's second-largest city that displaced nearly 1 million residents.
ISIS still holds the Iraqi cities of Tel Afar and Hawija, as well as large portions of western Anbar province. The U.S.-led coalition has conducted over 22,000 airstrikes against ISIS. Today, the terror group holds less than half the territory it once claimed.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. The U.S. commander in Baghdad says the coalition will now focus on the remains of ISIS in Iraq and on retaking the group's de facto capital in the Syrian city of Raqqa. The White House says the victory in Mosul shows the days are numbered for ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Fire officials urging California residents to quickly heed evacuation orders. Thousands already forced out of their homes by wildfires, more than 60 in California alone, other fires burning across the West. Mixed finished on Wall Street. The Dow slips 5 points. The S&P and the NASDAQ both higher. On the Fox Report, fair and balanced.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is in full swing. It's your chance to get a Ford F-150 for 0% financing for 60 months, plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. It's summer's hottest deal on the award-winning Built Ford Tough F-150. Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. And save big on the Ford F-150. Get 0% financing for 60 months, plus $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Hurry into the summer sales event, going on now only at your Ford dealer. Best-selling based on 2016 sales. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 60 months at $1,667 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Trade Assist cash requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle, or lease terminated 30 days prior to or 90 days after delivery. Not available on Raptor. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by July 31st, 2017.
Donald Trump Jr. downplaying a meeting with a Russian lawyer, saying an offer of information potentially damaging to the Hillary Clinton campaign turned out to be meaningless last summer, but adding that he had to listen.
The only thing I see inappropriate about the meeting was the people that leaked the information on the meeting after it was voluntarily disclosed.
White House spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders again denying any campaign collusion with the Russians. And she says the president only learned of the meeting a couple of days ago. His eldest son says he'd be happy to pass on what he knows to the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he now has his own attorney in the Russia probe. Charges filed against protesters for a huge sign unfurled on one of the president's buildings in Chicago.
6 Greenpeace activists are accused of hanging a 100 by 30-foot banner on Trump Tower Friday with the words "resist and defend," covering a picture of the Earth in protest to President Trump's stance on global warming. 4 face felony criminal damage to property. All 6 face misdemeanor reckless conduct. Prosecutors say the protest cost thousands of dollars in damage to the skyscraper. Greenpeace USA issuing a statement calling the charges grossly inflated and an attempt to chill lawful protest.
Fox's Jeff Manasso in Chicago. Late word that the United Auto Workers Union is filing for a vote to represent workers at a Nissan plant in Mississippi. This after a years-long campaign. A new streaming milestone for Latin artists.
There's a new Latin king. Daddy Yankee has become the first Latin artist to hit #1 on Spotify, surpassing Ed Sheeran to grab the #1 spot. The Puerto Rican superstar reached that status with hits like Gasolina, Shaky Shaky, and Despacito, a song co-written with Luis Fonsi. That song features Justin Bieber.
Fox's Michelle Polino, the singer, releasing a statement saying the musical digital revolution has unified the world and that this is the proof. In New York, I'm Lisa Brady on Fox News Radio.
Here's your ESPN Radio 3-day forecast from the National Weather Service, brought to you by Chief Bauer. Trust the heating and cooling experts at Chief Bauer Service Experts all year long. Just give them a call at 866-EXPERTS or visit online, chiefbauer.com. Tonight, 73 the low. We got a 40% chance of a thunderstorm overnight, and then a little bit tomorrow afternoon as well. 88 the high with a low of 73. Wednesday, very hot and humid. 96 the high with a low of 74 overnight. And we're looking at about high 80s for the rest of the week into the weekend. Right now it is 88, sunny, windy, and humid. ESPN Radio.
It is Tay and J Show, ESPN Radio 93.5. Jeremy Warner, Mike Carpenter is filling in for Lon Tay, who's on dad duty today. Heading over to Taylorville for a baseball tournament. Andrew, part of the All-Stars down there. So good luck to Andrew and their crew. I know Lon really loves watching Andrew. So this weekend he was tweeting about how much he loves it. It was really sentimental.
It is sentimental, and he's a great dad for being as involved in all the sports that he is. And by the way, that song right there is in the Trolls movie.
Yes.
Which my niece was watching yesterday.
Was it good?
It's cute. Too many songs.
Carb, I am starting to learn all the songs on these Disney Junior channels.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to you. At some point, it's going to happen to you, so you just got to enjoy the good ones.
I know the Sophia the First theme song talked about.
All right, let's head to the Jupiters at the Crossing phone line. A baseball-filled hour. We'll talk with Mark Grody, Cubs pre- and post-game a little later on, but let's head to our buddy Mike Claiborne, KMOX, the Cardinals broadcast crew. Happy All-Star break. Mike, how you been?
I am... I've already started the break. Let's just put it that way.
Where are you right now, Mike?
Well, if I tell you that, then the rest of America would know, and I'm trying to avoid everyone. This will be the last official phone call that I will be involved in for at least a week.
Good for you, Mike. So you aren't watching the All-Star festivities this week, even though the Home Run Derby...
we'll have a watch party for it, man. I mean, we'll have a watch party for Home Run Derby. Aren't you having one?
No. Okay. I do like the field, though, Mike. It's a bunch of young sluggers. I mean, I'm more interested in it than I have been.
You know, I think, it's kind of worn itself out. There's some young guys we haven't seen before, but I'm going to tell you, we have a group of guys that are softball players that come through St. Louis every year, and they put on a little display down at Busch Stadium. I'd like to see them get a baseball. Now, some would say, well, they're using aluminum bats. Okay, I get that. But we see guys put balls up in Big Mac land. I'd like to see those big, strong guys go out and take a whack at it, especially with these juice balls that they'll be using tonight. But, I think you make a good point. There's, with the exception of Stanton, all these guys are new to it. So hopefully they have some people that can kind of walk them through how you pace yourself. I think the key to this thing for any participant is breathing and not letting the pace overcome you, because you can wear yourself out.
Yeah. Well, Mike, speaking of Big Mac land, Luke Voigt sent one there the other day. I mean, how much you buying this kid?
Well, considering I'd never seen the guy in a Cardinal uniform until he got to St. Louis, I just don't know.
Right.
We didn't see that guy in spring training. Never saw him. Never saw Mejia. Well, we saw Mejia in one game late. But, I mean, these guys are new to everybody. So I'm going to give it some time. He and I were talking about this the other day with respect to are they pitching you different. And he said, well, I'm seeing a few more breaking balls. So I think the key is to see how he handles that pitch and does he follow it, and instead of trying to pull it, does he go the other way, look for the power alley in right center. So I think we still have some time to evaluate his progress. But I'll tell you one thing, he's gotten off to a great start. He's forcing the Cardinals to make a decision about second base, because Colton Wong is going to be back probably after the break or sometime near that time. And he's going to want to play. And when he left, he was one of their best players. So, they have a couple of pleasant dilemmas with regard to personnel and how Mike Matheny deals with it. I think we all need to pay attention.
Well, another one of those pleasant dilemmas is Paul DeJong. What are your thoughts on him so far? And is this kind of similar to Luke Voigt? I mean, do you have any inkling as to whether or not this is some sustainable performance that you're seeing from him?
This is a guy who doesn't walk, so I'm always leery of guys who don't walk because they can get themselves in really bad slumps. I don't think Paul DeJong is an everyday shortstop. I think he's more of a third baseman. But Jed Jerko's playing really well at that position now because, they got a kid down the minors, Delvin Perez, who's a couple of years away. But when he gets here, that'll be his job. I think DeJong, if he can continue to provide the power, I think you'll see him move to third.
Well, Mike, 43 and 45 at the break. I don't think anyone would ever say that's a success for this franchise, but they're sitting there with a tie with the Chicago Cubs, and we'll ask you about them in a second.
How about that?
Yeah, who would have thought that?
You know what? Here's the deal. The Cardinals and the Cubs are tied for second place, and nobody's happy about it.
Right.
I mean, the Cubs were supposed to repeat and run away again, and, I think we talked about this early in the year. I didn't think they had enough pitching. And apparently they didn't have any yesterday, as they had a guy on the mound throwing batting practice, but Tim Lester couldn't get anybody out. Defensively, they're not as good. The Schwarber experiment has not panned out. Almara Jr. has been okay. When they lost Montero, they really have no professional experience, as far as catching is concerned, because Contreras was called up midway through last year. So there are a few question marks within their organization, just like there is in ours. We don't have a third-place hitter. We don't really have a fourth-place hitter. So, it's going to be interesting to see who does what as far as trying to bolster their lineup.
Do you think the Cubs' struggles affects how the Cardinals approach this trade deadline?
No, I don't think the Cardinals. One of the great things about the Cardinals, they never worry about what the other guy's doing. And I think sometimes that could be their detriment. But, their logic is, if we play like we should play, people should worry about us. So I don't think if the Cubs went out and got Clayton Kershaw tomorrow, which is not going to happen, but if they went out and made a dramatic move, if you're the Cardinals, you say, okay. Well, there's a guy that can win them a game at least once a week. What are they going to do about the rest of the staff? Because it's not just, John Lackey, he's leading the league in home runs served. Tim Lester's getting beat up a little bit. And the other guys just have not been consistent. So I think they're like the Cardinals. They need more than one player in order to fix their situation. We need two hitters, in my opinion. Chicago needs at least two pitchers, at least. And they might want to find a middle guy in that bullpen because they're just wasting Wade Davis.
Yeah.
Mike, you mentioned how the Cardinals, they won't make a move necessarily directly because of the Cubs, but I think that a lot of moves trade deadline or in the offseason are really the result of what your competition in that division is. And case in point, a Dexter Fowler, who, not to say you overpay for every free agent, but I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the assessment that the Cardinals, let alone any organization, don't make moves based on their immediate competition.
Well, I didn't think the Cardinals made a move in signing Fowler to accommodate what the Cubs were doing. They needed a legitimate center fielder. Tommy Pham has turned out to be the best center fielder on the team, but they needed to address center field. They wanted to have a little bit more at the top of the order, and they thought Fowler was going to be the answer. That had nothing to do with what the Cubs did in the offseason because they didn't do very much. And, every year somebody's going to win this thing, and I don't think you respond to what every championship team does. You have to remember, nobody in the National League has won back-to-back since the 70s, since the Big Red Machine. So every year there's a different guy that's walking away with the trophy if they do win it in the National League. So you can't be reactionary in baseball, because if you do, you're going to find yourself with a very, very big payroll and a collection of players that normally aren't developed in your own organization, and that's not the way to live.
Well, what makes it all the more precarious for the Cubs and the Cardinals is seeing this Brewers organization that does have a lot of young talent, especially position players. Could use some more pitching, but going forward, do you look at the Brewers as a legitimate contender, or do they need to do maybe a move or two?
No, I think the Brewers are a year away. I don't know about their pitching. And, the Brewers strike out a lot. Yeah. And one of the things in the difference in the Cubs of 2015 and the Cubs of 2016, they struck out about 500 less times. And I thought that was the difference. Chris Bryant, who struck out, 199 times this rookie year, got that number down. Some other guys really cut down the strikeouts. Milwaukee does two things that I think will bite them. Their strikeout total and the way they play defense. They shift on every pitch. And I think that you have to have a lot of things working for you in order to execute that, namely, where's the pitcher going to make the location on the next pitch. I think the good hitters will find the gap and find a hole and take advantage of it. And you only need to do it once or twice during the game. And all of a sudden you have to wonder, is the shift going to actually work? But, I tip my cap to them. They've gotten off to a great start. They've been able to maintain. They're winning on the road, which I think is very important. But, it's still, we have 74 games left. And, last time Milwaukee tried to run away and hide, the Cardinals tapped him on the shoulder and said, could you move out of the way? We plan on winning the World Series.
He's Mike Claiborne, Cardinals pre- and post-game, KMOX as well. Brought to you by Pekin Insurance, Auto, Home, Life, Health, Business, for all of it. Go to PekinInsurance.com. Mike, you said they need two bats, the Cardinals. What positions, and are there any names out there that really intrigue you?
Well, I really haven't heard of any names. One of the things that I think we run across now, Jeremy and Mike, is a lot of hearsay. And, whether it's your fantasy team or just some guys standing around, they say, well, wait, that wouldn't be bad if that guy could come to St. Louis, or, they're looking for such and such. And now all of a sudden we want to be general manager, and somebody tweets it, rumblings are Cardinals are interested in Babe Ruth, So it's one of those things that I asked a couple of general managers this recently, and they both said it in the same manner. Of all the things you hear, maybe 5 to 10% is actually true. And the rest of it is just sheer conjecture on the part of people like talk show radio hosts or guys who have blogs. They want to get the pot stirred, and they try and find a way to do it. But I think that, you're hearing a lot of different interesting scenarios. Boston wants a third baseman. The Cardinals, I think the question is, who are you willing to move in order to accommodate a 3 and perhaps a 4 hitter? Now, they'll tell you Jerko's a 4 guy. He's having a heck of a season, but I just never envisioned him as being the guy that you say, well, man, we got to pitch around this guy. And I'll ask you guys a question. Of this Cardinal team, who's the one guy you say, man, we don't want to pitch to him, we'll let somebody else beat us? Who is that guy?
Yeah.
The answer is simple. There isn't anyone. And until you get that guy, I think it's going to be very hard to maintain a consistent offense, to score some runs and take the pressure off your pitchers who feel like they have to throw a 2-hitter in order to at least get to 7 innings.
Well, Mike Claiborne, before I let you go, I went to Canada this past weekend. I went and saw a Blue Jays game. I was wondering, you got any Blue Jays Expo stories that stick out? I mean, baseball in Canada, you got any stories there?
No, you know what? I didn't go to Montreal very much. Yeah. I think I went there maybe 3 times since I've been in the business. But Toronto is one of my favorite cities. It's a cleaner version, a little bit more of a modern version of New York.
Yeah.
Very eclectic, very good restaurants, and the scenery of the 2-legged variety is second to none. So it's one of those things that I enjoy. Fortunately for us, our hotel was very close to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the AstroTurf, but I'm seeing what happens when you have stadiums that try and grow grass with a roof.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it doesn't work. But it's a fun town, man. They got a lot of neat things. I mean, they've got the NBA, they've got football. I mean, well, they got Canadian football. They've got baseball. You know, I mean, it's a fun place to go.
Yeah,
and of course they have hockey. So, did you enjoy yourself?
I had a really good time, Mike. I agree with you. The diversity in Toronto was ridiculous, but yeah, to me it was like almost a little bit like Chicago, a little bit, especially the downtown area. I thought it was really cool seeing that kind of city. I'd never been to Canada before.
Did you go to Marche? It's a great little. It's kind of a warehouse where there's so many different fresh restaurants that are there, and they cook to order in a lot of cases. I mean, it's the size of a legitimate warehouse.
Yeah, we went to a couple markets. But we didn't go to Marche.
Yeah, well, that's a great. It's right near the Hockey Hall of Fame. But if you get a chance to go back, take the time to go check it out. And like I said, they got great restaurants there too. So I don't think it's a hot spot to be in December, but if you go this time of year, it's great.
Yeah, Mike Claiborne, KMOX, and Cardinals broadcast crew. Always enjoy your time, Mike, and enjoy your time on the All-Star break.
All right, fellas, have a great week, and we'll talk soon. And somebody make some notes on Home Run Derby for me in case I come up short and not sure what to do with myself.
I will. I'll text you tonight.
I can hardly wait.
See you, Mike. All right, good stuff with Mike Claiborne, KMOX, and the Cardinals broadcast crew. Yeah, I mean, the NL Central, the division doesn't have, or that league doesn't have a lot of intrigue as you go forward to the playoff race, except the NL Central card. Mm-hmm. So it's the Cubs and Cardinals we expect to be the teams who make the runs, especially the Cubs. I think I would bet Vegas still thinks this. I saw Fangraphs has the Cubs with a 60% chance still to win the division. But the Brewers keep winning. The Cubs don't win back-to-back games. I got to take them seriously, and I can never count out the Cardinals. I don't like their talent level to win the division compared to the Cubs, maybe even the Brewers at this point, because the Brewers have Thames and Braun. I can't count them out.
I wish we had a YouTube camera on Austin during a part of that interview. Now, the funny thing is,
they don't chase the Cubs. I don't know if they make a move just because of the Cubs, but you always have to have your division, competition in mind.
I don't think that even any way we would have asked that question, neither of us would say any team makes a move solely because the other team does. But you always got to, you guys, what the Cardinals always do, and I think this is what Mike was saying, they always do what's best for the long-term interest of the franchise, and I don't think Fowler took away from their long-term interest. They could have gone all in on Chris Davis. That's kind of what I think he's talking about. I just enjoy the humor because we had Chris Raby on Friday, and
this guy. What happened with Chris?
Well, it was nothing to do with Friday's interview. It was a great interview, but then on Saturday there was a tweet that he put out there about. Basically, he was kind of trolling Cubs fans. He was actually trolling Cubs fans.
Which right now is if you want to be a troll of Cubs fans, it is the time to do it.
But the thing is,
they're a little on edge right now, as you can see with Austin Berkman. They win a World Series, and everyone's thinking, "Oh, they're good for it." Nope, you want to win one yet again.
The equivalent would be, and I'd call Yankees fans out on this as well, is if in 2005, after the Red Sox won theirs, and the Red Sox struggled in 2005. And that Yankees fans start tweeting them like, if there were a Twitter back then, hey, what about that, huh? Theo Epstein. Big deal.
Overrated.
Except they're still the defending World Series champion. So the thing that I find funny, and maybe because I've seen this to a more exaggerated example with the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, which is relatively tame now, but
because you're both good now?
Well, the Red Sox are really good.
You guys will be fine.
They'll be fine. It's just disappointing. But no, it's always good to get Mike on, and I always love, too, the Cardinals guys. I really understand.
There's a puffing out of the chest.
Oh, there is.
I mean, what have they done the last 2 decades?
Yeah.
The Cubs have done it for 2 years.
True.
Right? They've done it for 2 years. The Cardinals have been doing it for a long time, but now they're definitely weaker. I mean, if you made me bet who's going to win the NL Central, what would you have the Cubs odds at?
Well, I think
3-2.
Well, the better question I think would be over the next 5 years, what team will win more division titles? And I think you'd have to definitely go with the Cubs based on just positional talent.
Oh yeah, the Brewers could be really interesting. We brought it up before we left on our vacation. Like Jose Quintana for them. I don't know if they have the prospects, and it sounds like the White Sox are wanting 2 top prospects, like 2 top 30, 40 prospects for them. The Brewers can do that and not take away from their long-term plan, actually enhance it by adding I don't want to call him elite pitcher, but one of the top 25 pitchers the last couple of years.
Well, that's just it, because people look at that and think, oh, look at it's CC Sabathia Part 2. Only thing is this time CC stays with your team for the next few years.
Right? They give up Segura for Greinke.
Right.
And, they got to the playoffs, I think, with Greinke, but they only had him for a year.
Yeah, exactly. So this isn't a rental. I mean, this is a guy that you do have under control for, another 3 years, I think?
Yeah,
when all said and done.
3 years after this one.
So I think it's a move that they should make, and the more I consider it, and I'm just...
Because you don't know if the Cubs are ever going to be this vulnerable again. If
Right.
you're the Brewers, and I know they could be really good, you never know if you're going to have another opportunity like this, where at the trading deadline, you could have a 6-game lead, and you could add to your team that could hold that lead and win the division and make the playoffs.
And with every successive bad start from Masahiro Tanaka, I'm thinking, okay, I don't see the reinforcements yet in the minors, so what do you do?
Yeah.
Now, you aren't trading Clint Frazier the way that he started, you
guys are exactly where I thought the Yankees would be.
Yeah,
at the All-Star break.
But it just makes it more. I wish they never would have been in first in the first place.
Right, then your expectations
for
change.
2 whole months, it feels great.
You know what though? You have probably the most exciting player in baseball, right?
We do, and I tell you what, that Clint Frazier kid can mash too. So there is excitement, but pitching. I mean, the Yankees are still considering being buyers here. I mean, they are this whole
wide open, man.
It is wide open, and if they do get in a playoff series, the lineup makes it interesting. But it's just unless that bullpen figures it out, it doesn't matter.
We'll go around baseball next hour with an MLB next question. Coming up next, though, Cubs. We'll get some answers from Mark Grody, Cubs pre and post game. If you want to weigh in, you can text us on the Cheap Hour text line at 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. It is the Tay and J Show.
An ESPN Radio Mike and Mike Extra Point with Ian Fitzsimmons and Mike Golick.
I think it was a smart move by David Griffin to turn down any role with the New York Knicks. That thing is beyond a dumpster fire. And if you weren't going to be able to do what you want to do as general manager or whatever title they were going to give him, then I think it is a smart move on his part not to chase a job, because that is the only job that is available right now in the NBA. I think it was brilliant for him to say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks.
His next job he gets, he's going to be in charge of the organization. So to go to the Knicks, which is a dumpster fire right now, and say, oh yeah, you can be here, but you won't even be in charge of it. Why would he want to do that? Who has ever had power at that position will want to go to the Knicks and try and rebuild what's going on there, and oh, by the way, not have as much power as you've had somewhere else? Not going to happen.
Hear more from Mike and Mike tomorrow morning on ESPN Radio.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here to announce that KFC's new Spicy Crispy Zinger Chicken Sandwich is now available in a $5 fill-up for a limited time. Why? Because who wants to spend $7 on a meal at a burger place when you could spend $5 on a hand-breaded Zinger Chicken Sandwich, wages, a cookie, and a drink at KFC? I mean, we specialize in chicken. You need another reason? I didn't think so. Try the Zinger in a $5 fill-up at KFC today. KFC, it's finger-licking good. Limited time offer at participating KFCs. Tax extra.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Guidance, trust, protection, service. It's the mantra of GTPS Insurance. When you work with GTPS, you'll never have to call an 800 number in a different state. You deal with people who live and work in our community and know it's important to your business. GTPS is your local source for business insurance, property, general liability, workers' compensation, and group health insurance, and they'll work with you to formulate the best package for the needs of you and your business. Contact a GTPS insurance agent today at 359-9000 or visit online at gtpsinsurance.com.
Looking to renovate your kitchen or bathroom? For over 30 years, Kitchen, Bath, and Cabinet Company has been Champaign-Urbana's #1 showroom for all your kitchen and bath needs. From design to installation, Kitchen, Bath, and Cabinet Company combines years of industry experience with excellent customer service. Check out their solid surface quartz and granite countertops, plus a wide range of fixtures and cabinetry. Call Kitchen, Bath, and Cabinet Company at 352-1900 or visit online at kitchenbathandcabinetco.com.
Are you looking for a new home or planning to refinance your existing home? Hi, this is Todd Durakan from First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana, getting you and your home faster with loan closings in 30 days. Mortgage loans and refinancing that's fast, friendly, and local. We invite you to visit our experienced team of mortgage experts to find out how First Federal Savings Bank can help you with your loan closing in 30 days. For more information, visit 356bank.com. First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana. Get what you want out of life. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, Sue, check out these sandals. I don't wear sandals. They're so cute.
Dry, cracked feet? Carousel Intensive Foot Repair doesn't just cover. Carousel removes hard, dry skin, then deeply moisturizes and actually repairs. Feet look good so fast you see a visible difference in just one day.
Sue, you look great in these sandals. Get them. Yeah.
Carousel Intensive Foot Repair in the foot care aisle. See the one-day difference.
When you're heading home, Tay and J are on your way talking sports. Weekday afternoons 3 to 6 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Hello, I'm Austin Berkland with the 430 Sports Center update presented by State Farm agent John Kaywood. With the service you get from State Farm, you might think their car insurance costs more, but with discounts up to 40%, you may find it even costs less. Call State Farm agent John Kaywood in Champaign, Illinois at 217-367-1105 today. Our very own Jeremy Warner is reporting that transfer quarterback Dwayne Lawson won't make it to the U of I campus this fall. Here's a quote obtained from IlliniInquirer.com by Lawson's Garden City Community College coach Jeff Sims. He probably won't be at Illinois this fall, but he's working. In other quarterback recruiting news, three-star Tennessee quarterback Woodrow Trey Lowe will make his college decision tomorrow afternoon. The 6'3" quarterback is considering Houston, Memphis, West Virginia, and Illinois. The Home Run Derby is tonight, and here are the matchups in the tournament-style event. Stanton versus Sanchez, Moustakas versus Sano, Judge versus Boer, and Bellinger versus Blackman. AL manager Brad Mills and NL manager Joe Madden named their starting pitcher and lineups today. For the AL, it's Chris Sale as the pitcher, and here's the lineup. Altuve, Jose Ramirez, Aaron Judge, George Springer, Carlos Correa, Justin Smoke, Corey Dickerson, and Salvador Perez, and finally Mookie Betts. Joe Madden named Max Scherzer his starting pitcher, and the lineup is as follows. Charlie Blackmon, Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce Harper, Buster Posey, Daniel Murphy, Nolan Arenado, Ryan Zimmerman, Marcell Ozuna, and Zach Cozart. The Chicago Bulls have announced that due to family reasons, Chris Dunn has left Summer League and will not return. So that puts a damper on the back-to-back Summer League championship hopes. And the price of the Mayweather-McGregor pay-per-view is out. $89.95 for standard def and $99.95 for HD.
No thanks.
Not my friend.
It's standard def. It is the Tay and J Show, ESPN Radio 93.5. Jeremy Warner, Mike Carpenter filling in for Lante. Don't forget, this hour, we will give out the DP Dough Office Hookup. Your chance to win a catered lunch of calzone, salad, and fresh-baked cookies for up to 25 people. It's this easy. Text at 359-2255. Do you want to do this now?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, let's do this now. We'll give out the DP Dough Office Hookup. So we'll take a bunch of texts, and we're just going to pick out a winner of the one we like. Text us at 359-2255 with your office, how many people you work with, and along with that, give us, since today is Antonio Brown's 28th birthday.
He's only 28.
Your favorite wide receiver of all time. So who is your favorite wide receiver of all time? Text us that at 217-359-2255. That's 359-2255, along with your name of the office, how many people you work with, and you'll be entered into win the free catered lunch of calzone, salad, and fresh-baked cookies for up to 25 people. We select one winner each week through August 7th. So again, text your favorite wide receiver of all time, along with the name of your office and how many people you work with.
Yeah, and we'll pick a winner here at the end of this segment, or maybe the start of next one. So you got a little bit of time to get it into 359-2255. But this DP Dough Office Hookup, I think this is week 4 of this go-around. We got another 4 after this, too.
Who's your favorite wide receiver of all time?
Let's see. I jokingly said earlier Marty Booker. That's my favorite single season of a receiver
Marcus
of all time.
Robinson had one heck of a year.
He did have one hell of a year.
Remember that?
I do remember that, and I believe that was Cade McNown era. And no, but the Marty Booker year was one of my favorites. My all-time favorite wide receiver, I guess I'd have to say, I don't know if there's an NFL guy because the Bears are just never. I mean, they did have the Brandon Marshall and
when I was a little kid, I loved Sterling Sharp.
Okay,
Tough,
that's a good choice.
Fast, and it was when him and Brett Favre started. I had his jersey when I was a kid because I liked green, and then I became a Bears fan.
You know what my favorite is?
I should have just stayed a Packers fan.
Can I go with an Illinois guy? There's been a lot of good Illinois wide receivers. Yeah. Brandon Lloyd was great. Of that crop, Walter Young was my favorite.
Walter Young.
Yes. 6'5".
I got to go. My favorite Illinois wide receiver to ever watch was Regis Ben.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just
when he was healthy.
Physically, that guy, I mean, his first 2 years before he did get hurt, physically, I don't know if we've seen a wide receiver of that capability.
Yeah.
That size, that strength, physicality, and he's a ridiculous athlete and really fast.
Hey, remember the punt return?
I remember.
I was in the bathroom.
Was that Penn State?
That was Penn State. That was the first of two consecutive big wins.
When we were in school, Carp, we came after the Final Four. Right?
So the first year we were in school, the freshman year was Dean James' senior year. That was still fun.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Basketball was not good, though.
After that, it was not. Now, the Eric Gordon game was a single night of fun.
But that 2007 football season, those back-to-back games of Wisconsin and Penn State, I've never seen anything like that.
That was pretty incredible. The Michigan game was a letdown. Ball State was an oddly fun afternoon because they got bowl eligible.
Yeah.
In October, which was just
really
unheard
weird
of.
for all of us.
And then,
football wasn't even on my brain when I came here.
Well, and what sucks is the Northwestern game, I think, was right when Thanksgiving break was starting, so a lot of people went home. But the ones who stayed around, that was kind of like a victory lap after the Ohio State game. So, not many fun memories other than that, though.
So this hour, we've talked a lot about 43 and 45 teams in the NL Central, and I didn't think the Cubs would be one of those at the All-Star break. And let's head to the Jupiter's The Crossing phone line, talk a little Cubs with Mark Grody, Cubs pre- and post-game. Mark, how odd has this season been to cover for you?
It's been pretty alarming, actually. I mean, especially recently with these jolting losses, the one yesterday against the Pirates, the 11-2 loss to the Brewers, even losing 2 out of 3 at Cincinnati was kind of shocking in relative terms. But yeah, it's been a strange season to cover. I remember they came out of the gates this year playing the Cardinals, to whom you guys were just referring, and it was that playoff intensity still existed. I remember in that first series, and the Cubs won the series and had a 4 or 5-2 start to the year, which I thought was kind of important considering expectations and the proverbial hangover. But yeah, no matter how hard we try to make up the narrative of this is the game that's going to spark the Cubs to getting back to where they were, I'm kind of at a loss in terms of trying to figure out what it's going to take at this point, or making any kind of predictions in that regard that a win or a loss will catapult this team to getting back to some sort of relative form to 2016 or even 2015.
I think we're all looking for answers, Mark, of why this has happened and why so much has changed from last year. No season similar. We all knew that coming into this year, but what do you think are the biggest differences? Like what has been the biggest differences for this team this year?
Yeah, there's a few things, I guess, to narrow it down. I still say that, and I get that the answer is because it's baseball. We always have to go to pitching, and there is something to be said about that. But I really think that if I had to pick my option, it's still the offense and the inconsistency of it, and the conundrum of not being able to knock runs in for the most part this year when you are absolutely supposed to, when there's runners on second and third and there's one out. We've seen it too many times this year where the Cubs haven't come through. And, I think that when you score runs early, it enables every part of your team. It enables the starting pitchers to be calm. It enables the bullpen to sometimes not even be used, as it was the case to last year. And I will compare it to last year because, think about all the run differential baseball that the Cubs played, and life was just easy for them. So it's amazing to me how many times this year, offensively, this team has not lived up to what we think it can do. And obviously there's some big reasons. You don't have Dexter Fowler anymore, and I've been talking about that since the offseason, to not underrate the loss of Dexter Fowler. And then you have the full year of Kyle Schwarber, and so far it hasn't worked out with Schwarber. Addison Russell seems like he's been lost at the plate for the majority of this year. Ben Zobrist has been injured and not striking the ball well. It's not been the same type of season for Chris Bryant in terms of his offense. I think Anthony Rizzo's been as steady as anybody, and even Wilson Contreras to some degree. But, John Jay was not supposed to be, a sort of spotlight part of this offense. And quite frankly, now he is, and he's gone from great bench player to necessary player on the Cubs, and that's just not in the rough draft for this year. Yeah.
Mark Rohde joining us from the Cubs pre- and post game. And Mark, this is always a conversation that, as a Yankees fan, I'm talking about Joe Girardi more than I probably should be, because it's what more can he really do when guys are not producing? And then in the case of the Cubs, you look at Joe Madden, who led them to a World Series title last year, albeit with some moves in the last few games of the World Series that had a lot of people scratching their heads. And this year, he's been particularly active with that lineup and moving guys into slots where you would never really think to move them and not really having a lot of prolonged success. Is there much we can pin on the manager thus far this season, or like any baseball team, is that maybe just trying to pin blame on someone that doesn't deserve it?
Well, here's the way I would answer that is I would probably say for the most part no, because you have these guys, like I said, who are performing completely inconsistently, have not had good seasons. So when that is going on, a manager's job is then to try to put those players that are struggling in positions in which to succeed. So that's the job of a manager. So try things, shuffle guys around. Early in the season, they basically benched Addison Russell, put him in a situation where Javier Baez was going to get just as much playing time as Addison Russell. Kyle Schwarber gets himself sent down. All these things that he has been trying in terms of the leadoff hitter, because I always say to Cubs fans or people who make the Joe Madden argument, hey, if he wasn't doing these things, if he wasn't changing the lineup around, if he wasn't benching guys, if the Cubs weren't sending guys down, we'd all be screaming at the manager to do something differently, to bench a guy, to put a guy down in the lineup, to try a different leadoff hitter, to get Schwarber the heck out of there and put Ben Zobrist in the leadoff spot. So whether or not Joe Madden is making the correct adjustments or moves in which to put a player to succeed, I mean, maybe there's an argument there, but man, I see a manager trying everything possible right now to shake up his team or to put players in positions to succeed. So that's the way I look at it. I mean, I don't have a problem at all with people criticizing Joe Madden from game to game if they don't like his decisions, but I think in general, he's doing what all Cubs fans would be screaming for him to do if he wasn't doing it.
Yeah, and this is the roster he was given, right? And not that it's a bad roster at all. I mean, it's the envy of most teams in Major League Baseball, but he's got a lot of young guys who haven't proven anything yet. And I almost get the feeling that the Cubs are definitely going to be aggressive, you would think, for a starting pitcher or two before the trading deadline. But I wonder if they trade actually from the Major League roster with one of those young guys, Mark, because it could also unclutter that lineup and maybe give you some answers to see these guys maybe a little bit more regularly in the lineup.
Well, I don't rule anything out at this point, but just going on conversations that we've had with Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer, I mean, they're not going to drastically change the direction of this team or the core of this team or what they're trying to do, because then they have to look at themselves and say, are we selling too low on these guys? Are we giving up on guys that we thought last year we're going to be around for the next 10 years or 11 years in the organization? So, and Theo Epstein is on record constantly lately as saying there's not going to be this big, huge trade, that it's up to those guys, it's that clubhouse to live up to what everybody thinks that they're capable of. He said that they may augment the roster. He's used that word. I think that's as heavy as Theo Epstein has gotten in terms of playing his hand in the trade deadline. So, obviously things can change in that regard. There could be a guy out there that becomes available, that is controllable, that is a big-name guy, that would require somebody from the Major League roster. But I got to be honest, I think it would have to be pretty splashy in terms of what the Cubs acquired before they would give up on anybody from that Major League roster right now of consequence.
Mark, we've talked a lot of Cardinals and Cubs on this show, obviously, with where we are, but how much should we buy the Brewers? It feels like no one's buying them yet.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the first time I started to buy in was that the one-game makeup the other day, July 6th, when the Brewers just came in and handed it to the Cubs. I mean, they whipped them in every way, shape, or form. And, you know, they had a heartbreaking loss against the Yankees the other day on the Clint Frazier walk-off home run, where if the Brewers win that game, they're up to 10 games over 500. It's hard to dismiss that team at this point, and I was completely guilty of it until a few days ago, where I was just like, come on, it's the Brewers. Because I always said, like, the Brewers were not even interested in winning ball games this year. Like, they're in a rebuilding mode, and they weren't necessarily trying to deny it. But it's funny how sometimes when you have a team that is not expected to do anything, you could usually go one of two ways. You could have it where it's individuals saying, all right, I got to watch out for myself, so I really don't care about the team concept. I'm going to do things to make sure I look good and make sure that this is not my fault. And generally speaking, those teams end up 20 or 30 games under 500.
Right.
Or it could go the other way, where they're like, well, the heck with all this. You know, people don't think we could win. We're going to play loose. We're going to have fun, and it's going to be us against them. And I think that that's more of the mentality of the Brewers, not to mention they have some real talent, especially in their lineup. I mean, they've got guys who I think are legitimate. I think you have to worry a little bit about it if you are a Brewers supporter or objectively viewing them, that I don't know how long that pitching can hold up when they've lost Chase Anderson. And, you know, does Matt Garza stay healthy? I know he had a nice day the other day and a shutout win where he went 7 strong innings, but it seems like at some point in time Matt Garza either loses it on the mound or comes up with some sort of he's going to miss the final 50 games of the season injury. So I guess that's the only question I would have about the Brewers. Can that group of guys, the Junior Guerras of the world, Zach Davies and these guys, can that hold up and continue to be for them to hold up? But they're a lot more real than I give them credit for, that's for sure.
I think all of us as well. Mark Grody, Cubs pre- and post-game. You can hear him on our sister station, US 105.9. Keep up the great work, Mark, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Anytime.
All right, good stuff. Mark Grody, Cubs pre- and post-game. You can follow him on Twitter at Mark Grody Sports. I keep coming back to the Brewers. I mean, take advantage. I mean, if you can find a long-term arm like a Quintana, you got a lot of depth in that farm system. You don't have to sell the farm completely, but I just don't know how many opportunities you're going to have like this. But I do expect the Cubs to make a charge, and I do expect the Brewers' rotation and the staff to struggle a little bit at some point.
I don't know. I know it's only the All-Star break, but there's something amiss with the Cubs, and that maybe for a younger team more than an older team is hard to conjure up just like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the last 2 years, I should say, were kind of like one long season where they kept that momentum going really for about 340 games total between those 2 years.
It feels like whenever you criticize, whether it's Joe Madden, who I think is one of the top 5 managers in baseball, Theo Epstein might be the best at what he does, right? It's hard to argue with his track record. But, can we criticize the front office at all for the roster they put together?
A bit of complacency, maybe.
I do think the rotation. We can criticize them for letting Fowler walk for the money he went to the St. Louis Cardinals.
That's fine.
I don't blame them for that.
No.
Trading Montero might have been a short-sighted move, but I don't mind making a stand there for a guy who doesn't matter all that much to your team. Probably in the long run, though he had a great postseason last year.
Well, he had a couple great moments in the postseason, but not
going into the season with Brett Anderson as your 5th starter, knowing that Lackey is on his last legs, knowing that Hendricks is going to come down a little bit, knowing that Arrieta struggled at the end of last year. I think that was a little bit of complacency or a little bit of overconfidence. I do. I remember them going into the offseason or going into the season with Brett Anderson. I'm like, wow, they're really going to roll the dice with that. Not that I thought they'd be up 5 to 7, 8 games by now,
yeah.
And that they'd be fine. They can make the move at the trading deadline. But I'm surprised Theo Epstein and those guys did that.
I'm mildly surprised at the same time, and this kind of goes back to what Mike Claiborne said about the Cardinals not making moves based on what other teams do. But I think you always are making moves, at least subconsciously, based on what your division rivals at a minimum are doing. If you're the Cubs and you enter this year thinking, okay, our roster is not going to be top 10 in Major League Baseball, may not even be top 20, but in this division, it's enough.
Who's challenging us?
Yeah, and then you get in the playoffs, and as we saw last year, within that these playoffs, where all of a sudden the bullpen became the biggest deal, and the Indians were a few outs away from winning the World Series with one legitimate starting pitcher in that rotation.
Yeah.
So that changed the entire paradigm of how you can win a World Series, and it's all about just get in. Well, now you're at a position where maybe you won't get in. The funniest thing would be, though, is if they get in, and if somehow
they do it again.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, because I do think that every bit of mojo that has to go into winning World Series, that was behind them for 2 consecutive years.
And I just look at the Nationals, and I look at the Diamondbacks. I'm going to throw them in there, but the Dodgers, I mean, those teams are just loaded. I mean, they can match you on offense, and their pitching is much better.
Much better. And that's why you look back at both the Giants and the Dodgers series last year. I know the Giants are struggling, but that Giants team is playing very well. And that Game 4 comeback, dodged a bullet, because Game 5 against Cueto, you don't feel so good. Yeah. And the Dodgers, especially how they were to overcome what I think on paper was a deficiency in the starting rotation. And then Kershaw in Game 6 just wasn't good.
I can't blame them for thinking that their team would be fine if they went with Brett Anderson for a couple months.
Yeah.
But they're smarter than me. Right? Like, that's a move I would make, saying, oh, we'll be fine. You always think that they're going to make the perfect move.
But sometimes
it shows that even Theo doesn't make the perfect move.
Well, and Theo had some bad years with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, he is a top 5 general manager in the game.
And he's a Hall of Famer.
Well, and he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. And that's based on the importance of the championships that he won. He's going to keep the Cubs competitive.
3 of them.
Right, yeah. He's going to keep the Cubs competitive and chasing championships for a long time. This is a bump in the road that I think we'll look back on as a time where even as a front office, they had to reevaluate their own system and figure out, okay, we can't take things for granted in this division even.
All right, when we come back, let's get our winner for the DP Dough office hookup. We'll announce that. If you want to weigh in, you can. Cubs, Cardinals fans. We'll also talk some Illini coming up as well. 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. It's a Tay and J Show.
Check out the new BMW of Champaign. It's not like the old Twin City. They have new on-site local ownership since 2013, along with a new state-of-the-art facility. With a Customer First Service Award winner for 2015, BMW of Champaign does business your way. Yes, they have tons of cars. Yes, they'll get you what you want. Yes, they discount, deal, and even pick up and deliver. So stop in, ask for Ben, and give BMW of Champaign a look. BMW of Champaign at the corner of Neal and Burwash in Savoy.
Game Day Spirit, the official fan store of the Fighting Illini at 1422 South Neal Street, is officially closed. In the meantime, continue to get all your Fighting Illini needs online at GameDaySpirit.com or at the fan store on the corner of 6th and Green in the heart of Campus Town. There you can find their large selection of BOGO tees. New to the BOGO deal is the flexibility to mix and match youth sizes with adult sizes. Want to be the first to hear about Game Day's deals and promotions? Follow them on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram by searching at Game Day Spirit, and you stay up to date on officially licensed Fighting Illini gear from the official fan store of the Fighting Illini.
There's never been a better time to stop smoking and switch to vaping. To save money you're spending on cigarettes. To experience new flavors, new selection, and new savings. There's never been a better time to stop in and see the difference at Vapors E-Cigs LLC. Vapors E-Cigs has the most knowledgeable and caring staff, inviting atmosphere, along with the best prices on juice and hardware. They also have an amazing reward system to help you earn savings along the way, including discounts on juices, coils, and even 70% off a kit. Now's definitely the time to stop by Vapors E-Cigs LLC.
Home is where the art is. It's where every day begins and ends. It's a place for big occasions and small. Home is where stories unfold and where they are told. We may leave, but we always come home again. First Financial Bank can help you achieve the home of your dreams. Talk with one of our friendly loan officers and we'll help you find the loan that's right for you. Consider it our way of saying welcome home. From First Financial Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.125%. APR 3.82%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday mornings 7 to 9, here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
It is Tay and J Show, ESPN Radio 93.5. Jeremy Warner and Mike Carpenter filling in for Lon Tay. We have a winner in our DPDO office hookup. We asked you for your favorite wide receiver of all time, and Carp, our winner is
Rebecca from the oncology department at Christie Clinic, doing fine work over there. And 15 people are going to get a DPDO office hookup. And the answer was simple. It was Jerry Rice. Gave it to her. Well, it's so subjective. We just kind of award people randomly.
And obviously the best wide receiver of all time.
Yes.
No one was more productive. Randy Moss, is he the only one who can be in that conversation?
When he was at his prime, my God.
Terrell Owens is close.
You know, T.O.
He's in the top 5.
I know he rubs some people the wrong way, but that guy was a complete competitor. I mean, he was a competitor out there, and I think after he played in the Super Bowl after having broken his leg a few weeks before.
I think he meant well. Right? Yeah. I don't think he meant to be that way.
I think A-Rod meant well as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think those two guys are kind of similar, right?
And I think sometimes when you're at that level, people always say the ego, you have to.
Yeah.
If you don't have that ego, you don't have that edge. If you don't think you're the greatest, you have no chance. You have no chance.
And frankly, I found it was hilarious when Terrell Owens ran in the middle of that Dallas Star. And I know he got tackled at the end of it, but like, it's entertainment.
Yes.
And yes, if you're a parent, it's not that hard of a conversation to say, Johnny, don't do that if you ever happen to become the most elite wide receiver in the game.
But at the same time, well, if you're the most elite wide receiver in the game,
do what you want.
Okay.
Because you're going to have...
You go ahead and do that. You can pay the fine, whatever you want. You shouldn't be doing that in high school if you got a first down.
Yes. Which, man.
That's a different conversation.
You know what's funny is I'm not one of those people that really dislikes celebrations or anything. But I really don't like the whole team down by 21.
Roy Williams.
They get it right.
Oh, he was the king of it.
At the end of his career with the Bears.
Well, and he did it with the Lions when they were always so terrible.
Yeah, so no, congratulations to Rebecca and the oncology department over there at Christie Clinic. And for those that played this week or played in weeks past, we still have 4 more weeks to go in this round of the DPDO office hookup.
Get a free lunch of calzone, salad, fresh baked cookies.
It's good stuff.
Just for listening to the Tay and J Show, you get to be the most popular person at your workplace. Somebody took issue with me with Regis Ben. I said he was my favorite Illini receiver to watch.
Not the best.
I didn't say the best, because that's obviously David Williams, or you can throw Brandon Lloyd in that conversation. Those are the 2 names he threw at me. But when it talks about purely watching somebody, he was a freak. And his first 2, when he was healthy, those first 2 years, they stack up with Lloyd.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, obviously David Williams is in a different offense with Mike White, and he put up numbers I only thought Dudek could touch, and he's probably not going to do that now. But Regis, just physically, what he did those first 2 years when he was healthy, I mean, he had 1,700 yards in those 2 years, and he was a touchdown machine.
The amount of talent on those teams it was just out of this world, and it made you think for a little bit that this could be a long-term kind of thing. Unfortunately, it was not. I'm trying to think about
the coach.
Yeah.
And you had way too much attrition. That Regis class, that was nice to have a top 25 class. A lot of those guys weren't here very long. It was the next 2 classes that were loaded. Enzo couldn't win with them.
Great on paper, but always a lot of attrition.
We got drive time coming up next. We'll talk a little MLB as well. You can always weigh in. 359-2255. It's Tay and J Show.
Hi, I'm Troy Lands from Lands Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Lands is your local Mitsubishi Electric Diamond dealer. Our technicians are experts at solving your comfort needs, one room or your whole house. Let us show you how a Mitsubishi Electric Heating and Cooling System can save you money now. Your comfort is our priority. Call Lands today at 1-800-AIR-REPAIR or find us online at landsinc.com. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
Pekin Insurance and your local independent agent are committed to providing the best coverage options and the best service possible. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at PekinInsurance.com and on social media. Check them out on Facebook at Facebook.com/Pekin Insurance. It's a great way to learn more about insurance for your auto, home, life, or business. You'll stay up to date with important announcements. Plus, they'll throw in a few fun facts along the way. For beyond the expected information, follow Pekin Insurance on Facebook today.
Today, we're talking about your budget and budget blinds.
People get so hung up on that word budget.
Listen, everybody's got a budget. Budget Blinds is all about getting the window coverings you really want at a price that fits your budget.
Right. They have exclusive designer styles, hundreds of choices.
And Budget Blinds gives you expert service. None of that do-it-yourself. The pros bring the showroom to you, then do it all. Measure and install.
What a relief.
That's style and service for every budget.
And right now, during their 25th anniversary celebration, it's the biggest sale of the year with special upgrades and offers.
Explain the free upgrades like the invisible tilt for shutters.
Make shutters look cleaner, more contemporary. Same with the free cordless upgrade on honeycomb shades. No cords. Looks sleek and uncluttered.
I like that. Just call this number. It's easy to remember. 855-BUDGET-BLINDS.
855, then the name, Budget Blinds. Or go online.
BudgetBlinds.com.
Remember, budget means getting custom window coverings at a price that fits your budget. And remember, 855-BUDGET Blinds.
Offer good on selected products at participating independently owned and operated franchises only. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
Check out the new BMW of Champaign. It's not like the old Twin City. They have new on-site local ownership since 2013, along with a new state-of-the-art facility. With a Customer First Service Award winner for 2015, BMW of Champaign does business your way. Yes, they have tons of cars. Yes, they'll get you what you want. Yes, they discount, deal, and even pick up and deliver. So stop in, ask for Ben, and give BMW of Champaign a look. BMW of Champaign at the corner of Neal and Burwash in Savoy.
Hi, it's Jackie Walk with Special Olympics Illinois Area 8 in Champaign. Join me for our 18th annual golf outing benefiting the athletes in Area 8. This event is hosted by the Stone Creek Golf Club in Urbana and will be Monday, August 14th at 11 a.m. Join us this year as a golfer, sponsor, or donate to our raffle. The cost is $100 for an individual or $400 for a team of 4. For more information to register or sponsor this outing, contact me at 355-1750 or email me at jwalk@soill.org.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Trump Jr. asked to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. Has to do with a July meeting he arranged with a Russian attorney who claimed to have information linking the DNC and the Clinton campaign to Russia. Senator Mark Warner, the ranking Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, calling this
first time the public is seeing clear evidence of at least an attempt by the Trump campaign to obtain information, and again, in this case, from a possible foreign agent that would interfere with the Hillary Clinton campaign efforts.
White House spokesman Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying,
the only thing I see inappropriate about the meeting was the people that leaked the information on the meeting after it was voluntarily disclosed.
Former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort and the president's son-in-law Jared Kushner also attended the meeting, which Donald Trump Jr. says produced no useful information. He's agreed to testify and has hired a lawyer. After a week-long recess, the Senate back in session with Republicans working on another proposal to repeal and replace Obamacare. Fox's Jared Halpern live from the Capitol.
The healthcare debate here has sparked demonstrations and protests. 80 arrested by the U.S. Capitol Police today in more than a dozen locations in House and Senate office buildings as Republican leaders vow to keep moving forward in an Obamacare repeal and replace measure.
Even if Hillary Clinton were elected president of the United States, we would still have to be revisiting the failures of the Affordable Care Act.
Texas Republican John Cornyn told reporters a revised health care bill could be introduced later this week. A vote set up next week. Plans for a vote last month were scrapped after several Republican senators voiced opposition to a draft health care bill. Jane.
Thanks, Jared. They are still celebrating in Baghdad. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson calling it a critical milestone, the victory of Iraqi forces in Mosul. Fox News, fair and balanced.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is in full swing. Get 0% financing for 72 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. It's summer's hottest deal on vehicles like Ford Fusion, Escape, Mustang, and Explorer. Offer ends July 31st. Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand, and save big across a full lineup of Ford vehicles. Get 0% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Hurry into the summer sales event going on now only at your Ford dealer. Best selling based on 2016 sales. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $13.89 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Trade Assist cash requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle or lease terminated 30 days prior to or 90 days after delivery. Not available on Mustang Shelby, GT350, GT350R. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by July 31st, 2017.
Fighters busy in every single western state. In California, wildfires threatening several populated areas. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has this live update.
Jane, 2 wildfires are burning up both ends of Santa Barbara County. The Alamo fire's grown to 28,000 acres and the Whittier fire's nearly 11,000. That fire's destroyed some structures, but CAL FIRE's Mike Mueller says it's not clear exactly how many yet.
In both areas, a lot of the areas are inaccessible, very steep, rugged terrain. The Alamo would be more interior of Santa Barbara County, and the Whittier closer to the coast, and that's where we're experiencing what we call those sundowner winds.
Those winds are supposed to ease up over the next couple of days. The National Interagency Fire Center says there are 60 large fires burning around the country, Jane.
Thanks, Jessica. A judge hearing evidence to determine whether members of a now shuttered Penn State fraternity should face charges in the hazing death of a pledge. Fox's Gernal Scott has the latest live.
Jane, the hearing for the 18 members of Beta Theta Pi fraternity will likely stretch into tomorrow. Tim Piazza of New Jersey died hours after drinking and multiple falls at the university's fraternity house. Reportedly, about 12 hours had passed before anyone called for medical help. The members of the banished fraternity face involuntary manslaughter, aggravated assault, and providing alcohol to a minor. During the hearing, prosecutors reviewed text messages they say show an attempt to cover up the death. Jane.
Gernal bulldozers now digging in a cornfield in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, chasing what the DA calls some incredibly hot leads in the search for 4 missing young men, 18 to 22 years of age. Authorities also trying to confirm reports the 4 knew each other. One of the men missing since last Wednesday, the others last seen on Friday. And the Dow down 5 points, the NASDAQ up 23. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News Radio.
Jane cutting it kind of quick there.
Jane Metzler, right up to the post. It is the Tay and J Show, and this is the weather. I've never introed it like that.
This is the weather.
Brought to you by Chief Bauer. For all your heating and air conditioning needs, give Chief Bauer service experts a call at 866-EXPERTS or visit online at cheapbauer.com. We have a severe thunderstorm watch until 11 o'clock. That includes Champaign County, and then a small chance of thunderstorms overnight, with more storm chances tomorrow afternoon. High of 88, low of 72. And then Wednesday, super hot, 96 and sunny with a low of 74 overnight.
Send me back to Canada.
Yeah, I know. But hey, the good news is
70 degrees there.
After that, it will be decent. High 80s with lows in the upper 60s for the next 4 or 5 days after that. But right now, 88, cloudy, windy, and humid. ESPN.
It is Drive Time, presented by Honda BMW of Champaign. For new and used vehicles, visit their huge inventory at the corner of Neal and Burwash in Savoy, or visit them online at drivechampaign.com. Mike Carpenter, this is your recap first 2 hours of the Tay and J Show. And we'll talk about Canada here in a second, because we started the show talking about that. But the news of the day is I finally talked to somebody on the record that this was the likelihood. JUCO coach Jeff Sims at Garden City Community College told me this morning, Carp, that Dwayne Lawson, the JUCO quarterback, really talented, 6'6", 230, freak of an athlete, big arm. He probably won't be at Illinois this fall. It's all academic. He's got coursework that he needs to wrap up there that's not going to be done by the fall. Obviously, academic issues that, we don't need to know everything about a kid's academics. That's, just keep that confidential and all that. But there's still coursework to be done. In the short term, this leaves Illinois very thin at the quarterback position.
It does, and you just hope that Chase Crouch can stay upright. The good news is I know that offensive line isn't going to be great this year, but a mobile quarterback can make it look a lot better. And last year you saw every little flaw because Wes Lunt was a sitting duck back there. So I am anxious to see what Chase Crouch can do over the course of a season. I was really excited when Lawson committed to Illinois, thinking that if he gets here early enough, you could have a shot at him starting this year.
He could compete. If he got here in the spring, I think that was a realistic possibility that he could have competed, because he's never been into a playbook. I mean, he got to Virginia Tech, had a very small package. He was like the third or fourth string quarterback, played one game, and then he got passed up in the spring, which is a concern if you're an Illinois fan. And then he got to Garden City about a game into the season, so they had a very small package of plays for him. He's never been into a playbook, so even if he got here in August, I wasn't confident he was going to make any impact, and I was nervous they'd use him, waste a year of eligibility. So for in the long run, even though you take a short-term hip cart, I think this could be beneficial if he gets his coursework done. You'd have 2 years of eligibility left. He can push Crouch or at least back him up next year. Then he enters into a competition with Karan Taylor, Cam Thomas in 2019 if he gets his coursework done, which is still a question.
So the way I look at it is this. For this year's team, if Dwayne Lawson was the difference between making a bowl game and not making a bowl game, that's one thing. But you are not going to be able to maximize that size, that athleticism with the roster that you currently have. It would be fun. Yes. But I'm just as okay with waiting on it and letting him come in when you hope that the rest of the roster has kind of caught up to the skill players, which are pretty good.
I do not think he would have been better than Chase Crouch this year.
Probably not. Not this year.
I think he's better. He's better tools, right? He would not be better than Chase Crouch this year. So if Chase stays healthy, and I don't even know if it matters, because I don't think he's the difference between a 6-win season and a 3-win season, Carp. I take your lumps now. Right?
Exactly.
I don't think this is such a bad thing.
Now,
but the fact that he might not, will he get here at all? That remains a big question. But I do think Illinois wants to get him here next spring, where he can enter the fray, and you got a much deeper, much more talented quarterback roster next year.
Sadly, unlike the NFL and college football, when you take your lumps, you aren't rewarded for it. And when it comes to recruiting, you got to hope that there's a win or two this year that can kind of generate a little bit of momentum going into it.
Lawson could have helped, because he would have been exciting, right? It would have been exciting to see something new on the field. I don't think he was ready for Big Ten. I still think Crouch can add that. I still think he can add that when you put Dudek, when you put Ricky Smalling and Carmani Green, Dre Brown, Reggie Corbin, Kendrick Foster. Those are some weapons, and this offense could be kind of fun next year. And out of my possibilities for what happens next year, I don't think they're going to contend for a bowl game. I just don't think it's going to happen. Their defense, way too young up front, and I think they got way too many questions on offense. But they could at least be entertaining on offense, which I think could help you with recruiting.
If you take a straw poll in the tailgate lots and you said Dwayne Lawson or Chase Crouch, I legitimately think Chase Crouch will get more excited reactions, because people do remember that Purdue comeback, even though you fell short, but no fault of Chase Crouch. And what it reminded people of, after having gotten tired of the Nathan Shieldhouse era, you start longing for it.
It wasn't so bad,
It wasn't so bad, because you have a quarterback, you're right, that can extend plays, and there's not a lot of guys that we can look at in college football, even the best teams out there, and point at that pocket quarterback and say, you know what, he has no mobility, but they're still able to overcome that. And Illinois, until these bigger offensive linemen get in, and they're coming, reinforcements are coming, until those guys get settled, you're going to need some mobility back there to make that offense click.
And that's one thing Lawson could definitely do when a play breaks down. He could run, and he's the long glider.
But Chase can run.
Yeah, no, but if Chase got hurt.
Well, yeah.
You're going to Jeff George Jr. or Cam Thomas, who's a heck of an athlete, but is not prepared to be a Big Ten quarterback.
He's 130 pounds.
Shernar Davis was a defensive back recruit.
Yeah.
Right now he's a quarterback because he needs to be. You got 3 walk-ons. That gets scary. But I'm not expecting much anyway next year. So,
I'm not either. And that's why you mentioned...
and this is not a surprise to Illinois, by the way.
No.
They've known this was going to happen for a while. It's just no one, whether it was Dwayne I've tried to contact, Jeff Sims I've tried to contact for a month or two, no one went on the record about it until today.
They were prepared for this. And I think when it comes to this year, you mentioned the word fun, that it could still be a somewhat fun season. I do think there are ways that even a 4-8 campaign... maybe in some outside way, a 3-9 team can still provide enough entertainment, but more importantly, in those losses, you don't have as many of those, let's say, at Wisconsin last year. Those games were by the mid-first quarter, you might as well be back out in lots, because it's just pointless.
I think it's going to be a tough year.
It is going to be a tough year.
I think next year's the year where you're really competitive. And then I think 2019 is the year where you see what this program's going to be.
Well, the good news is you aren't really losing anybody after this year.
Right. I mean, you only have 8 seniors.
Right.
And 13 juniors.
So
just reminding you guys of that every time I get the chance.
You know what does kind of stink about that is this schedule, on paper at least, if you had next year's Illinois roster. It works out well with the home games you get, the winnable road games.
And that's what stinks about the delay in getting the Lovie Smith.
Yeah.
Right? Is you only have one recruiting class, while every other second-year coach has 2 recruiting classes. We also talked a lot of Major League Baseball, talked Cardinals with Mike Claiborne, KMOX, and the Cardinals pre- and post-game, and Mark Grody, Cubs pre- and post-game. Talked about how the Central's different, but we do have All-Star weekend this week, Carp. And the Home Run Derby tonight, I'll have it on because Stanton, Sano, Judge, Bellinger, people don't talk enough about Miguel Sano and what he's doing up in Minnesota, but he's a huge masher as well. I'll have it on and be more intrigued than I have in most years for the Home Run Derby.
And I think Judge is going to win it. And not just homerism. The one difference between him and I think Stanton would be the closest thing to Judge. These guys that are just equipped with such power in their swing
freaks
that they aren't necessarily turning that switch from regular swing to power swing.
Yeah.
That's their swing. They just have that natural power behind it. So I would be mildly surprised if we don't get that final. Or I don't know how the bracket's set up. I hope it is set up where
Stanton, Sanchez, Mustaka Sano on one side, Judge, Bohr, Bellinger, Blackman.
And we're all hoping, I think.
Come on, Stanton, Sano, Judge, Bellinger is what we all want to see.
For the Final Four.
Yeah.
And then do they do one final round with the remaining 2?
It's just a bracket.
Okay.
It's just a bracket now. So you might not get the guy who hits the most home runs as a champion.
Good news is it's timed rounds. They've done that.
Yeah.
Which shortens it up a little bit.
It's fun, though. And then the All-Star Game starters announced today. Max Scherzer and Chris Sale, 2 of the top 3 pitchers in baseball, and they have been for a long time. I just did a quick Fangraph search, Carp, and we were kind of surprised that how close these guys are to Clayton Kershaw when it comes to wins above replacement the last couple of years. Because, I mean, obviously Kershaw's ahead. He's at 39.3 since 2012 in wins above replacement. Scherzer is at 32.2, Chris Sale 31.5. Then you go to David Price at 27.2 and Kluber at 24.9. So they're still in a notch of their own, right below Kershaw. These are 3 pitchers that we were talking about, kind of like Pedro, Johnson, Clemens, maybe Matt. I mean, these guys, I think by the end of their careers, Carp, are going to be 3 of the top 10 pitchers we have ever seen when we're 30 years old.
And with as much offense that's coming back into the game, and these guys are still dominating in the way that they are, this is not quite steroid era stuff, but you're starting to see home run numbers tick back up to where they used to be. So
it's what Pedro did. What he did in the steroid era is unbelievable. And it's kind of what Kershaw and these guys are doing now.
We look at the Nationals, and there always seems to be something missing, whatever kind of intangible thing a team needs to go from perennial playoff appearances to actually contending for a title. When Scherzer is the guy going out there and starting game 1, I just get the feeling like they're due. And that when he's the guy to pitch twice in a series, you're feeling really good about it.
Feels like he gets lost because of Kershaw's shadow of how great he's been. And then Sale, because he was with the White Sox, he's now made 2 straight starts for the American League. I think that's really cool, especially as a White Sox fan. Also talked to Kendall Gill in the 3 o'clock hour. Definitely go back and watch that. He's back in professional basketball playing for the Big 3. Had his golf outing today. And he talks some Illini basketball as well. That's Drive Time, presented by Honda BMW Champaign. For new and used vehicles, visit their huge inventory at the corner of Neal and Burwash and Savoy, or visit them online at drivechampaign.com. Rest of the hour, we are open if you want to weigh in at 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. Want to remind everybody you can win great Illini apparel, gear, and novelty each week with the Tay and J Show. We play the Game Day Spirits Wheel of Games in the 5 o'clock hour a couple days a week. Don't forget Game Day Spirit located at Green Street on South Neal and online at GameDaySpirit.com. Game Day Spirit, a proud sponsor of ESPN's Tay and J Show and the official fan store of the Fighting Illini. Brad Underwood's going to talk with reporters tomorrow. Carp, I'm interested to hear what you think. What do you want to hear from Brad Underwood? We'll also do an MLB Next Question later this hour. If you want to weigh in, 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. It's a Tay and J Show.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat. From Charlotte, here's Dari Noka.
He's a very well-respected general manager, except by the guy who just let him go, and he's now on the market. He interviewed for the vacancy in the basketball mecca of the world and thought so little of the organization, he said, "Don't consider me a candidate anymore." That's how bad it is for the Knicks.
I don't see any other way to see it. David Griffin was unexpectedly and inexplicably let go by Dan Gilbert and the Cavaliers, so he's on the market. The Knicks, understandably, want his basketball mind in their front office, but from all indications, don't want his basketball mind in charge of personnel decisions. In other words, we'll hire you, but the decisions will not be made by you. Instead, likely by owner James Dolan, who has clearly made all the right personnel decisions over the past several years. Decisions that have locked the Knicks into seemingly a lifetime of lottery spots and losing seasons, not to mention $71 million to Tim Hardaway Jr. Who would want that job? For the record, the NBA is more than fine even without the success of top market New York, so it's clearly not a must that they get themselves right. In fact, watching them be this much of a soap opera might actually be more fun than watching them win. In 60 seconds, it's here.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, can I still take advantage of today's low rates? Is it still a good time to refinance? The answer is yes. Now's a great time to call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.12%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Hard to imagine anything can keep cool on a scorcher like today. Heat causes battery fluid to evaporate, which could cause damage to your battery's internal structure. That's why Duralast batteries are designed to beat the heat. Tested to start your car at up to 167 degrees Fahrenheit. Duralast, proven tough and sold only at AutoZone. Order one online or by phone and pick up in-store today. Let's get you what you need.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Hello, college football. My, how we've missed you. But you're here now. At least it kind of feels that way. I'm here in Hoover, Alabama, the upscale southern suburb of Birmingham, and it's day one of SEC Media Days, a 4-day football extravaganza. Now, most conferences do this in 1 day, maybe 2, but no, not the mighty SEC. They want 4 days of fanfare. They do it first. They do it biggest. In the end, it means nothing. It's all hype. 14 head coaches over 4 days telling us all how their team can win, how it will win, why it is relevant. But hey, it's July and it's all we've got. Except for the Home Run Derby and All-Star Game. I'll take Media Days. With the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Dari Noga.
Protecting your home and family, you better have a plan. Keep them safe from harm with a home alarm from F.E. Moran. Home invasions are on the rise all across the land, but they'll think twice when they see the sign for F.E. Moran. Don't wait till it's too late. It's time to make a stand. Call 877-FE Moran. F.E. Moran. Alarm.
You've heard me doing my hobby. Roll 'em up! Water wrap, go! I also have a real job as co-owner of 2 insurance agencies with more than 50 years of service to Central Illinois. Hey, it's Lon Tay, and I'm excited to do business with you. For a free business, auto, home, or life insurance quote, call me at 832-2411. Partnering with Pekin Insurance, you're guaranteed to receive a competitive quote. Going beyond the expected with Pekin Insurance and the Hillard Agency. Call 832-2411.
Hey, Sue, check out these sandals. I don't wear sandals. They're so cute.
Dry, cracked feet? Carousel Intensive Foot Repair doesn't just cover. Carousel removes hard, dry skin, then deeply moisturizes and actually repairs. Feet look good so fast you see a visible difference in just 1 day.
Sue, you look great in these sandals. Get them. Yeah.
Carousel Intensive Foot Repair in the foot care aisle. See the 1 day difference.
Coach Mike Ditka is not just talking sports. What'll he say next? Hear him here Monday and Friday mornings from 7:30 to 8 with Brother Johnny and me, Stevie J, on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Hello, I'm Austin Berkman with the 530 Sports Center update presented by State Farm agent John Kaywood. At State Farm, when home and auto work as a team, you score time and money. Call State Farm agent John Kaywood at 217-367-1105 today. Our very own Jeremy Warner is reporting that transfer QB Dwayne Lawson won't make it to the UFI campus this fall. Here's the quote obtained from IlliniInquirer.com by Lawson's Garden City Community College coach, Jeff Sims. He probably won't be at Illinois this fall, but he's working. In other quarterback recruiting news, 3-star Tennessee quarterback Woodrow Trey Lowe will make his college decision tomorrow afternoon. The 6'3" quarterback is considering Houston, Memphis, West Virginia, and Illinois. The Home Run Derby is tonight, and here are the matchups in the tournament-style event. Stanton versus Sanchez, Moustakas versus Sano, Judge versus Boer, and Bellinger versus Blackman. AL manager Brad Mills and NL manager Joe Madden named their starting pitcher and lineups today. For the AL, it's Chris Sale as the pitcher, and here is the lineup. Altuve, Jose Ramirez, Aaron Judge, George Springer, Carlos Correa, Justin Smoke, Corey Dickerson, Salvador Perez, and Mookie Betts. Joe Madden named Max Scherzer his starting pitcher, and the lineup is as follows. Charlie Blackmon, Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce Harper, Buster Posey, Daniel Murphy, Nolan Arenado, Ryan Zimmerman, Marcell Ozuna, and Zach Cozart. The Chicago Bulls have announced that due to family reasons, Chris Dunn has left Summer League and will not return. That puts a damper on the Bulls' hopes of going back-to-back in Summer League championships. And the price for Mayweather-McGregor's pay-per-view is out, $89.95 for standard def and $99.95 for HD. And that, my friends, is the Sports Center update.
Financial struggles can be stressful. Fight back with Busey. They've got the support and resources you need to tame financial stress. Did you know, according to the American Psychological Association, 72% of adults feel stressed about money, at least some of the time. 22% say the amount of stress they experience is extreme. Financial stress can be harmful to your health, literally causing fatigue, headaches, depression, high blood pressure, and heart disease. The good news is there are simple steps you can take to reduce or eliminate financial stress in your life. Here are 5 of them from Busey. Number 1, stop and assess your situation. Number 2, talk to your partner or spouse and ensure you're on the same financial page.
That's important.
That is. Number 3, take control by reviewing where your money is going. Finance Works, available through Busey eBank, can help. Number 4, think longer term by identifying and prioritizing your goals. And number 5, get help. You don't need to handle this alone, and Busey's experienced and dedicated team can be a valuable resource in helping you work through these steps. Busey is dedicated to providing the support and resources you need to help tame financial stress and achieve your financial goals. Visit any Busey location, call 1-800-67-BUSEY, or visit Busey.com today. Member FDIC.
He's Michael Carpenter filling in for Lon Tay, who is on dad assignment today watching Andrew in an all-star tournament. So good luck to Andrew and Mr. Tay watching his son. I know he gets more nervous watching his sons than he ever got playing. I'm really interested to see how I react to that, Carp. When Torrin's about 3 or 4 years away from T-ball, just turned 11 months last week, running around already. We got to schedule his birthday party. We're just like,
what's the theme going to be?
We're struggling with that. Mm-hmm. Do we really need a theme for a kid who's not going to remember this birthday party?
No, he won't remember any bit of it. Exactly.
It's just for us. And like my wife's stressing out about it. I'm like, just don't do a theme.
Yeah.
Just do a colorful birthday party.
But if you do a theme, do Star Wars.
Star Wars?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I was talking about Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that was my maybe 4th or 5th.
Yeah, I'd rather save that for him when he wants to really do Turtles.
No, well, I mean, that's...
Like, I feel like I'm going to be the dad who's just kind of like, hey, have fun.
You see, I'd like to think I'll be that way.
See, that's how I am. I think I'll be that dad, but I think I could also turn the other way.
I'm not going to be like Chris Collins and be a lunatic. Or Chris Collins' dad, Doug. But I think that, knowing how frustrated I still get at Yankees games, that I will probably, probably have to bite my tongue at certain
I think I got to keep myself busy. Like one of my hobbies is becoming photography. I got a nice camera for the site.
All right.
So I think I'm going to bother myself with that. Like take pictures of him and the other kids on his team and give them to the parents. That way I stay busy.
And not only will you stay busy, but that probably helps frame it as I'm documenting, these cool moments in life, and that a win here or a loss there, a strikeout there, or, whatever it may be.
But I'll probably not go that way.
Now, are you going to be like Lon and only feed him bread and water if they happen to lose that game? Because
no.
That's old school. I don't know if I'll go that far.
Yeah, he does that, by the way.
Yeah.
He really does that.
It's documented.
Yeah, so just to let you know out there.
You know what I remember from Little League? One of the few fond memories I have from Little League.
You hated Little League.
You hate Little League
still today.
For one. I didn't hate it. I didn't look forward to practice because let's be honest, baseball at that age, unless you love the sport, It is, every little kid is kind of ADD.
No, I love baseball.
You
practice.
did? Okay.
Oh,
you see, man, I didn't.
Little League baseball, that's like, you're talking peak Warner athleticism.
Okay.
Was 6 through 12.
Those are like the Bruce Springsteen glory days.
That is my peak athleticism, was that. I was really good at basketball because I could dribble and shoot a layup, right?
Which is all you needed that
I was good at baseball because I was coordinated, I understood the game, and I could hit the ball. Right? Like, I was good at that. And in football, I was just passable or whatever. We did flag football or whatever it was. But I was decent enough because I understood the game and I was coordinated.
Yeah.
Then athleticism took over and it just kind of went downhill from there. So I have very fond memories, unlike you.
You see, my fond memory was afterwards you'd go to the cooler where all the pop was. But my least favorite memory were opening the cooler and there were just juice boxes. You see, it was all about the pop after the game.
Yeah, we always had like the Ecto Cooler. C. The ones that didn't even have like a label on the thing, they were just different colors like purple and red.
And then sometimes, people get cheap with the Shasta, and I'm thinking, no, we need name brand pop in this thing. It's a 12-pack. It's a few bucks at the store. Come on.
My favorite coach always allowed us, he brought a pack of baseball cards and put like the cards, he mixed them up in a hat, and he let all of us pick one after the game. Like, that was the coolest thing. Pretty
cool.
So
it's like, oh no, not Rod Beck again. Oh,
that mullet and mustache
not
combo.
That Kevin Tapani card. I already have 3 of them.
All right, Brad Underwood, Illini basketball coach, is going to meet with the media tomorrow at 2:00 just to update us on the off season. I'm sure a lot of people are asking to talk recruiting with him. He can talk generalities before the July evaluation period starts, and I believe that starts on Wednesday. So the staff's going to hit the road. There are 3 5-day periods where they'll be out prioritizing their top prospects, which includes Iowa DeSumo, Tim Finke. I know you guys talked with Derek Piper about some of those guys, DJ Stewart, an out-of-state kid that they're really showing interest in. So, Carp, tomorrow, what are you most interested in getting out of this media session? Like, are you more interested in the off-season updates? Are you interested in the current players, the freshmen, or the recruiting aspect of it?
I'd say the freshmen, and I think we're going to know by who he specifically calls out. Like, you guys in the media will be able to ask him any question, but for the most part, it seems so far like he is able to pinpoint when he wants to the guys that he wants to highlight. He did that early with Kipper, LaRon, Michael Finke. There were notable omissions.
Tijan he mentions. Those are the 4 current, like, the guys he inherited, he talks about a lot.
He didn't talk about Jalen Coleman-Lands, which turned out to be, DJ, same thing. And that might have been because the process was in motion, but he doesn't strike me as someone that's going to heap praise on someone that is not, in his mind, deserving of it. Yeah. So when it comes to the freshmen, I will be anxious to see which ones he talks about specifically. I get the feeling, if I had to guess, Mark Smith will be one of those names that's talked about. But I also think that Trent Frazier is an interesting name because I feel like he is in a great position on this team that by the time Mark Allstor comes, another reinforcement, you won't be asking too much of Trent. But in the meantime, before August, he's going to be in the thick of all these drills, of all the 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 that they're doing over there at the Oven. And Trent Frazier, I don't want to say he's a wild card this year, but that is a weapon you can have off the bench, freshman or not, that can shoot.
They need him. I mean, they need him to produce next year because they're bringing in Allstor, but he's coming in a little late because he's still got to graduate from Wright State. And then you have Mark Smith, who counting on a lot, obviously, next year, but I think he's ready to. I think he's of the mind and of the body that he could do that. And then, of course, your front line is, has some veterans on there when you talk about Kipper, Finke, and LaRon Black, but you need another dynamic shooter, another scorer on that team, and that's something he brings. And without Jalen Coleman-Lands, who, despite whenever somebody leaves, it's like, oh, we're better off without them. That could be true in the long term when it comes to culture on this team, because Jalen Coleman-Lands, he wasn't a bad kid or anything like that. It's just he had these little suspensions, mini suspensions within games. It didn't seem like he was bought into what Underwood is, a different kind of coach. They need somebody to fill that scoring gap, a shooting gap on this team. So he is an important piece of that team. And another guy I'm really interested to hear about is Greggy Boyd-Bowden. Because Matik Vessel's not showing up.
Boyden.
Yes,
Boyd-Bowden.
He doesn't show up. Matik Vessel doesn't show up until August, and I'm not expecting a kid from overseas who's skinny to make an immediate impact. Boyd-Bowden has a big body, a Big Ten body, and he's the third guy in that center rotation, second guy in that center rotation. So he's an important part to next year just to give you 10 to 12 minutes of passable, serviceable basketball.
More than that, I look forward to just Underwood talking, because he tends to kind of drive whatever his answer is towards what he wants to talk about, not in some sort of obstructionist way. And I know we talked about this over the break. He does not withhold information.
No,
it doesn't feel that way.
He's pretty frank, it seems like. I mean, he's obviously media savvy, but John Gross would avoid some questions at times and answer kind of like what you just said about Underwood. I don't know if that's true of him, because Gross always kind of said what he wanted to say. He turned it into something he wanted to say. Bruce Weber was honest, and I love that as a media member.
Yeah, sure.
I think Underwood's the same way, but there's a little bit of edge to him when he's talking,
and not anything where when you're there in front of him you feel any tension.
No,
because sometimes that can be the case. Sometimes these coaches have this little layer of surliness, and you're thinking, okay, how should I word this so I don't piss them off?
Right, because you just want the right answer.
Yeah,
you just want an answer. Right?
Yeah, and I'm sure
an in-depth answer
that if they go on a 3-game losing streak, it being a young team, that you're going to get a moment like that. I mean, that's going to happen no matter who the coach is, but. So far, I mean, this early in the game especially, Underwood is pretty eloquent, but as you said, there's honesty on top of that. Where Gross was eloquent, but a lot of it just felt like maybe window dressing. I feel like
early on, I mean, this is the honeymoon, right? I mean, it was the same way with Gross. Gross came in here talking confidently.
But there is a difference.
Yeah.
When the confidence is backed up by a record.
Yes. I mean, it is more... It's easier to buy in to what Underwood is saying, given that there's been big-time success at a smaller school consistently at the conference level, and making NCAA tournaments and picking off a good team, and then doing what he did at Oklahoma State last year with good talent and turning it around so quickly when that program was so bad under Ford.
So, no, I'm just anxious to kind of hear the whole audio, whatever you guys get. The one time I went, you had another obligation. I think it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And he'll answer most any question, and they aren't short, but they aren't long-winded. So I think, when was the last time he had media availability?
Oh, it was about a month ago. He's had about 3 of them just on the practice court, right? And he's been very accessible for the most part so far. Obviously, he's been busy, but he always seems to make himself available for these kind of things, which I think is important. If you're trying to build a program and get your message out not only to recruits but to fans, you want some of that buy-in. So I think it's important to update them on what your team's doing, what you're trying to accomplish, and to try to drum up that support.
I get the feeling that come late September, like let's say Nebraska comes in here on a Friday night, kick Illinois' butt, 28 points. And that will be the weekend that we have the first Hall of Fame class down here, that ceremony. But then when we wake up on Monday and we have a 1-3 football team.
Hey, Illinois played Nebraska football pretty well.
I know, I've thought that. But you know what? I actually thought counterintuitive to that. I thought any time that I try to make that prediction of, they played tough last year, then you get blown out the next year. So I'm not going to fall in that trap. Even though that does seem like one of those, if you're going to get a big win, maybe think of that one. But
and do it early when you're healthy.
Yeah. So like let's say you're 1-3 heading into October.
Yeah.
That basketball thing is going to be ramping up, and by that point,
as someone who covers, I cover both sports, but I cover all the football games. It turns pretty quickly. I mean, this fan base will turn pretty quickly on football.
Oh well, and not even angrily at this point, but more just like, we're staying the line.
I think most people
we aren't going in.
I don't think most people have their attention on football in August.
No.
Right?
Because
I think they know what's coming with this team.
So when you get to that point, for the remaining Illini football fans that, October 1 hits and you're 1-3 and you say, ugh, you hope by that point a couple things. Io DeSunmo has committed. That Tim Finke, maybe the same sort of thing.
Maybe some of those football games will be important because maybe there's some official visitors on campus.
Sure, and that Friday night's going to be a great way to highlight them. If you can get the visitors in for Friday night, that does make it a little bit tougher. But that you hope that October can be a fun sort of speculative month for basketball where there's enough good news coming down the pike with 2018 recruits, maybe a couple of them already committed, and you feel as if, wow, this thing is taking off, and you can enter the season not with lofty expectations for this season in particular, but feel as if, wow, the direction's already pointed this way. Let's enjoy the journey.
I think there are 2 programs you're definitely better than. Ohio State, right? given all that they lost. And that's going to be a tough year for Archie Miller. Rutgers. Obviously they beat you last year, but I still think you are better than them as a program, though they are farther along in their culture. So I think they'll be competitive. Indiana. They got some talent back.
In the early going, yeah.
But, that program's kind of similar to where you are right now. Penn State, I think, is better than you. But I do think there's a couple teams that make sure you are not going to be the bottom of that Big Ten. But I think this could be a solid team. I don't have high expectations that they're going to crack the top 5 in the Big Ten. But I do think Underwood can do what he did at Oklahoma State, which is get them to 500. The non-conference is always going to be important. You just can't have that game like they have every year where you lose it. And you're right, that game they're going to regret.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have that game yet again.
And when that non-conference schedule comes out, we'll probably be able to circle it like we have the last few years. You could have circled 3 years ago Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
What? And then I remember after that game ended, that was the same night the Yankees signed Jacoby Ellsbury. It was a terrible night by all accounts.
Who did Winthrop last year?
Yeah, and at that point, and it was remarkable to me how even after that point, we still, that's why the 200 level, I was pulling my hair out all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, this ended.
Right.
It ended.
But it still wasn't done yet.
It wasn't done. We wrote that stupid thing out for 4.5 months. But that's what's so different about coming into this season is that the Mark Smith thing really did turn the tide in terms of perception.
I think if you didn't have Mark Smith.
It is completely different. You're hoping for maybe Ayo Dosunmu can be that guy, but we got to wait another year for it.
I mean, people are talking about Illinois basketball recruiting is rolling. Well, you got Mark Smith.
But you did.
I mean, you're taking chances. You got him, right? And that is huge. That is a landmark guy for you. A guy that I think, if we look back in the recruiting rankings, if he would have started his rise earlier, might be a top 50 player in the country. So that is huge for you. Illinois, Mr. Basketball, that is big. But Lovie Smith's first class, people are like, oh, he did okay. I mean, there were there's some really good gets in that class. If you don't have Mark Smith, Lovie Smith's recruiting way better than Brad Underwood's.
Yeah, that's true. But I think it was cathartic in that it wasn't just Brad Underwood's recruit; it was the Illinois basketball program finally getting a good break.
Yes,
and the Jeremiah Tillman thing notwithstanding, that was exciting. But at the same time, it was a package deal. It was John Gross and this whole will he or won't he be able to keep his job, and then Jeremiah Tillman wrapped up into that. It was just too much.
Not worth it.
No, not worth it.
I'm glad Whitman did that.
And for this particular season, I'm going to try my best to not get excited, especially if early results say, oh my God, look at that offense.
I think you should be excited. I just think they should be realistic, right?
Well, no. Yeah, and I'm trying to strike a balance there because when I look at the Big Ten, Michigan State is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And it's, in a way, going to take a lot of pressure off a lot of these younger teams being in Iowa. Iowa
could be good.
Yeah, they could be good. But the good thing is that if you're these younger teams up and coming, maybe when you're setting your own expectations, you aren't reaching for a Big Ten title with any sort of
what teams do you think in the Big Ten go into next year thinking we can surprise and beat Michigan State? Maryland?
Maybe, but the loss of Melo Tremble still hurts.
But Anthony Cowan's one of the better Big Ten point guards.
But I would say, okay, maybe they're on the outside, maybe like third or fourth in the Big Ten. I think that you could probably look at Michigan.
I will never count out John Beilein. They lost Derek Walton. And DJ Wilson's a big loss. Mo Wagner's a hell of a player. And then Zach Irvin for me isn't a big miss. Plus you get Charles Matthews. Xavier Simpson's the key to their season. What can he be?
Other than that, I mean, I know we do this every year.
Iowa's interesting.
Iowa's interesting, and I know we do the Wisconsin thing every year, but I'm sorry. Logic says this will not continue. Well, yeah. And you know what? They could still finish 7th in the Big Ten. Yeah. I just don't see this. I mean, I don't know who the guys are. But I've never known who the guys are.
That's the thing.
And they always do this.
Who the heck was Ethan Happ? Who's John Ward?
And I do think going forward, because I know Greg Gard was kind of the recruiting guy for Bo Ryan. And so far, great what he's done up there. Been able to not just maintain it, but really, well, no, he's maintained it. I won't give him any more than that, but he maintained a high level. But he also had a really good roster to do it, a veteran roster that was able to kind of keep that transition from being too rocky. So I am anxious to see how that goes for year 3 coming up for Gard, then year 4, year 5. Is that something where Wisconsin maybe goes back to what they were when it was Bennett up there, which is a good Big Ten team, top 5, top 6, top 7, but not one that is every year a surefire top 3 team.
Purdue's going to be good too. Purdue's got a chance. They lose Swanigan, but they just, they still got a loaded team. I mean, everyone else returns on that team. I'm not going to say they're going to win the Big Ten.
They just don't scare you, though.
They don't have the dynamic guard, and that's where Carson Edwards becomes so important.
I look at a lot of these teams and think, okay, on the road against Purdue, Illinois is not beating Purdue on the road. Not going to happen. Not even without Caleb Swanigan. You're still going to lose by 12.
Isaac Haas is still there.
Yeah, you're going to lose by 12 because that's what you do on the road to a good Purdue team. And they will be good. But these are teams that are sliding back to that level where when you get them at home, and this is the big thing I think too for Underwood, is it's not just so much rebuilding that excitement level and enthusiasm in the fan base. It's really about building a home court advantage that you have not had in about 10 years. Yeah. It has been so long where people actually have to come in the State Farm Center and think, probably going to be an L. And to the point where Illinois fans go to these games expecting the shoe to drop in the second half. That's got to change. And I think that they can be good enough to win the majority of those home games. And as long as they kind of avoid those.
Remember what Gross brought to that senior class his first year?
Yeah.
Brandon, DJ, Tyler. Tyler was on and off with it. Just brought a confidence, brought a swagger to some of those guys. And I think most coaches will when you get the coaching changes because it's a different kind of guy. I think Underwood would bring that. I just think he's limited in his first year based on the experience and the talent.
These older guys, LaRon Black, Michael Finke.
That's who I'm really interested to see how those guys do.
And I think the four guys that he mentioned in
because those
earlier,
guys can be really good Big Ten players.
The four guys he mentioned in earlier media availability sessions were those two, LaRon Black, Michael Finke, Kipper Nichols, who I think is really exciting as a redshirt sophomore, and then Tijan. Yeah. Those are your veterans. And I know it's crazy to think of Tijan as a true sophomore, as a veteran, but that was extremely valuable time that he got last year, even if he got in a little bit later than he should have.
One of Gross's smartest gets.
One of his smartest gets. Underutilized early, but fortunately, eventually he was utilized. And he is a good Big Ten point guard. Can he make another step? And I think now that he has more weapons to throw towards, and yes, I know Malcolm Hill's not on this team. Maverick Morgan was a good offensive guy. But to have a bevy of wings and guards that you can throw to and let them do their thing on the perimeter, Tijan is, I'm excited to see what he can do.
If you want to weigh in, 359-2255, 217-359-2255. If you want to weigh in on Illini Hoops. We're going to wrap up a little bit with some MLB talk. With next question, we'll run around baseball at the All-Star break. It's the Tay and J Show.
Spring into your new home with Busey. With free pre-qualifications, you can search for the perfect house knowing all of your options. From a new pool to that amazing new patio, let our award-winning team of associates make your dream of home ownership a reality. Visit Busey.com to apply in minutes or stop by one of our many convenient locations today. Busey, your dream, our promise. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are things Country Financial stands for. More than just an office you may pass by as you drive through town. Neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of our community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. Chat with your neighbor at Country Financial. Jesse DeHaan. Call 352-3466. Talk about things that are important to you and how Country Financial can help protect them.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.125%. APR 3.82%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the third year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Carmack Honda is celebrating our 40th anniversary selling and servicing Honda automobiles. And there's no better way to celebrate than putting up a huge tent and having the biggest sale in our 40-year history with Honda.
Grandpa has over 100 new Hondas, our largest selection ever, and more on the way. I love my Honda.
If you own a Honda now or would like to own a Honda in the future, Now is your Honda savings time at Carmack Honda's 40th anniversary sale in Danville under the huge big top.
It's Lon Tay from ESPN 93.5, and whenever I need work done on my car, I go to Long's Garage. No, not Lon's Garage, Long's Garage in Urbana on Main Street just east of Schnucks. From engines and brakes to new tires, you can get a variety of auto maintenance assistance from the experts at Long's Garage Complete Auto Service. And this summer, beat the heat and come into Long's Garage for an AC check. Since 1941, Long's Garage has offered expert repair services. Visit them today at 503 East Main Street in Urbana, just east of Schnucks.
Hi, it's Sergio McClain, inviting you to the Wayne McClain Pipeline Foundation 2017 golf outing. It all happens Friday, August 4th, and registration is open now. Plus, be sure to take advantage of early bird pricing. Help us continue the legacy of Wayne McClain to provide leadership training, mentoring, and scholarships to youth and their families in Central Illinois. Plus, we will have in-person appearances from former players, coaches, and current Illini men's basketball coach Brad Underwood. Get more details at WayneMcClainPipelineFoundation.com.
When you're heading home, Tay and J are on your way talking sports. Weekday afternoons 3 to 6 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Jeremy Warner, Mike Carpenter with the Tay and J Show. Lon Tay be back tomorrow. Had a great show with some good guests. Kendall Gill, CSN Chicago, Mike Claiborne, KMOX, and Mark Grody, Cubs pre- and post-game. As always, you can hear them on our sister station, US 105.9. It is the All-Star break, and it's always a good time to go around and reassess where baseball is right now. And Austin Berkland joining us in studio right now. We'll shy away from your Cubs a little bit here, Austin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I need to decompress.
You're a bit of a wreck.
Yeah. This year was supposed to be... No, I'm not going to get into it. Not going to get into it.
Not going to do it? Not going to go there?
Not going to do it.
This season was supposed to be so great. Everything was lined up. Every young player was back. All you missed was Dexter Fowler, and the starting pitching was set. But no, the starting pitchers can't last that long. That puts an extra burden on the bullpen. And guess what? That offense can't score a run with runners in scoring position. Oh, and let's not forget that those first inning runs. I believe it's an 8.18 ERA in the first inning over the entire year.
They've already given up more in the first inning than they did all last year, I think.
That is incredibly bad.
And that puts your hitters in a bad spot. Yeah. Right? And your relievers, too, are just getting worn out. I will say this. There is something to that. You had the whole offseason to enjoy the World Series, but for the White Sox, people have compared it to the White Sox in 05 or 06 because they didn't make the playoffs the year after they won the World Series. They were the best team in baseball at the All-Star break, and they were in the race the entire time. So it felt like we had like 6 All-Stars, for 2006. It felt like we had a celebration period. Like, I'm not going to say you Cubs fans haven't had a celebration period, but this season hasn't been part of that.
I don't want it to be the 85 Bears or even the Giants franchise. I want to make the playoffs every year, like the Cardinals have. And right now, that's not looking likely this year.
You still don't think they're going to make the playoffs?
I mean,
would you bet on them over the other teams in the division?
Yes, but that's strictly just because of Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo.
I agree with you.
But that starting pitching's got to get better.
All right, we got John Gross, who's always kind enough to join us on the Tay and J Show when it comes to. He's quiet. Sorry.
Next question.
We got next question.
Because if anything, version. We need more John Gross in our lives.
That is correct. So let's start with some next question, MLB style.
All right. The first one. Best team in baseball. Dodgers or the Astros? Dodgers have a 61-29 record. Astros 60-29.
Dodgers.
I'm with you, Carp. Pitching. The Astros have unbelievable offense. The Dodgers have a good offense too, but I'm always going to side with pitching. And they have about 8 starting pitchers who are MLB quality, plus the best pitcher of his generation, maybe the best pitcher of all time.
All right.
Next question.
Oh, sorry, John. Didn't mean to cut you off there. Biggest surprise, Diamondbacks, Rockies, or Brewers?
That's tough. I mean, not the Diamondbacks because they have some star power. And I guess the Rockies have some good pieces in the lineup. I think you have to go Brewers.
I'm with you. It's got to be the Brewers because the Rockies, They have that offensive talent. Their young pitching's been the surprise, but they've been competitive in recent years. The Diamondbacks, I think everything that could go wrong went wrong last year. Greinke, the A.J. Pollock injury, but they have some of the best star power in baseball. Feels like the White Sox they got some of the top talents in baseball. It's just how much would that supporting cast help? It's got to be the Brewers because we thought this was going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. So I'll go Milwaukee there, and especially in that division that they're leading it by 5.5 games.
Next question.
Which two teams will make the AL wild card?
Try separating this card.
Yeah. Tampa Bay.
I agree with that because they are the deepest rotation in the American League.
And then I can't give up just yet because I don't think it's coming out of the Central. I don't.
You're not buying the Royals and they're big?
No.
I'm not either.
I'll go Yankees. Ugh. Here's the thing. Right now,
I've never bought Baltimore, so I'm not going to do it now. I'm not buying Minnesota. I'm not buying the Angels. Does Texas have a run in them?
Potentially.
I think it's got to come from Texas, the Yankees, Kansas City, or Baltimore, right?
Yeah, I don't buy Baltimore for sure. The reason I say Yankees is that even after this stretch, they're only 2 games. They're 2 games up in the loss column against Tampa Bay, even though they're tied as far as winning percentage. So that does mean something. That gives them a little bit more margin for error, and this simply can't continue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if they play, 550 ball, which is pretty good, but if they do that, they're going to win that second wild card, or they're going to win the wild card.
Got to get a pitcher.
Otherwise, I will start making trade proposals for Quintana. I think that'd be a great pickup. What the hell? Let's do it.
Otherwise, I'm going for a wild card for my wild card. I'm going Rangers. I'm going to go the Rangers to make a little bit of a run here.
Next question.
Most must-watch player in baseball?
Still Aaron Judge.
I'm going Clayton Kershaw.
Bellinger.
Bellinger's up there. Obviously, if Kershaw's pitching and I have MLB Network on, I'm watching. I think we almost take him for granted now, especially because he's on the West Coast. We don't see him much, but what he's doing is ridiculous. And Scherzer's having a better year right now, so I kind of put him in there. Judge he's new, he's freakish, but Kershaw continues to do it year after year, and I think he's must watch every time he has the ball.
Next question.
Who is the NL MVP?
I'm not really good with these MVP because I don't play fantasy baseball, so I'm going to defer.
I mean, it would be Bellinger, Harper, Kershaw, Scherzer, right?
Zimmerman?
He's kind of cooled off a little bit. Oh, I might go Scherzer. If you're going Goldschmidt's so good too. Feels like Goldschmidt needs to win it one of these years.
Yeah.
I'll probably go between Goldschmidt and Scherzer at this point, but if Bellinger continues it, he's got a chance to win. How crazy would that be to have 2 rookies win the MVP award? Because no one's even close to Judge in the American League right now.
No.
Next question.
Besides the Cubs, who had the most disappointing first half? Mets, Tigers, Blue Jays, or Giants?
The Mets I could have seen coming.
Yes.
The Tigers could have seen coming.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets are kind of built like a paper line, and I hate to say that, but they're built on young pitchers who haven't pitched that many innings, so the injuries are kind of something they were susceptible to.
By the way, I did hear Mike Shannon say Jake did Grome, so, of course.
Snooks.
I mean, it's in the freaking program, a pronunciation guide. Tigers I could see coming. Blue Jays didn't have the pitching. That does not surprise me. Giants by a long, long shot.
I'm not going to go Giants because they win every dang year. They're in the playoff. I mean, every other year. This is kind of what they do, right? I'm going Tigers because they are stuck in no man's land.
They really are.
Nobody wants those contracts, whether it's Verlander, Justin Upton, who's good, but that contract is so big, Miggy Cabrera. They don't have many young pieces besides Michael Fulmer. They're just caught in no man's land right now, and they're trying to sell. JD Martinez is a short-term piece. They're trying to sell in the offseason. Nobody wanted their players. So they're just going to have to ride this out, and then they're going to be bad for a really long time. So I think they got to be the most disappointing.
Next question.
Besides the Brewers, which rebuilding team had the most encouraging first half?
Well, a month ago, my answer would have been one thing, even though rebuilding's a big word,
I Yankees?
Guess. Yeah, but I would have to probably... God, rebuilding, that's tough because different
White
teams
Sox?
are at different points.
Minnesota
is well ahead of schedule.
I might go with Minnesota because Jose Barrios has been great. Miguel Sano is a superstar that no one talks about. I'll go Minnesota.
How was Byron Buxton? Is he still
not good? Not that great. But I mean, the rest of those pieces are doing really, really well. Austin, thank you very much, sir.
Not a problem.
Thank you for putting together the great show. We talked with Kendall Gill, CSN Chicago, about his golf outing for the Cunningham Children's Home, joining the Big Three Basketball League. Talk some Cardinals with Mike Claiborne and Cubs with Mark Grody. If you missed any of the show, get the podcast, espncu.com, or find us on iTunes. That's all powered by GTPS Insurance. Thanks to Maddie Bunton, to Jacob Diaz, and to Michael Carpenter.
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. Juan will be back. It's the Tay and J Show.
It seems like in every home, there's at least one room that's either too hot or too cold. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Mitsubishi Electric has your comfort solution. Mitsubishi Electric cooling and heating systems are up to 40% more efficient with no ductwork and whisper quiet. Individual room control, giving you the freedom to find your perfect comfort level and save money too. Make your whole home comfortable again. See Lance Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing for your comfort solution and live better.
Hi, I'm Troy Lands from Lands Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Lands is your local Mitsubishi Electric Diamond dealer. Our technicians are experts at solving your comfort needs, one room or your whole house. Let us show you how a Mitsubishi Electric Heating and Cooling System can save you money now. Your comfort is our priority. Call Lands today at 1-800-AIR-REPAIR or find us online at landsinc.com. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
The deals keep going in June at Ford of Hoopston and Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Hoopston. At Ford, save up to $11,000 on the popular Ford F-150 and up to $6,000 off Ford Explorer. At Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, get a Jeep Cherokee up to $6,000 off, or Jeep Renegade has $5,000 in savings. Chrysler Pacificas have up to $2,750 in savings, and Ram trucks as much as $6,250 in incentives. Near the intersection of Routes 1 and 9 in Hoopston, or online at hoopstonchrysler.com or fordofhoopston.com.
If you really want to enjoy life celebrations, you need to call Rosati's Pizza for their comfortable catering package for 10 for just $92.35. Rosati's will serve you, along with your friends, families, and coworkers, a delicious lunch or dinner for under $100. Feed them all with Italian beef, pasta salad, and garlic bread. It's all about good food at Rosati's. Having a party, picnic, hosting a celebration? Call Rosati's for their comfortable catering package for 10. Rosati's Pizza, 701 South Gregory in Urbana, or call 328-2334.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.